Thank you for joining us for something that's totally we haven't done before. It's a little experimental for us, but you know, we wanted to. This we could fit it into the schedule. So.
Yeah, I think we're all excited to yap about our character.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah says she's already having so much fun, which means we need to take the energy down.
Oh, okay.
Counterpoint. I will, in fact, if it becomes a question that has been asked and is in the spreadsheet, I will talk about where the fish skins are.
It's not in the spreadsheet.
I will tell you where they are. In hell, they're gone. There's a whole demon plot about fish skins, and
so you're making them more canon?
Yeah.
Why?
All right. No, we're gonna get to that. Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us for the live Q&A section for Path of Night, Brine, and Blood. Most of us are here right now. Garrett is in theory joining us later. Let's go around the table real quick, and we don't really introduce ourselves in the show very often, unlike basically every other podcast in existence. So let's say who's here and who you played. And we're going to go counterclockwise because Lex is not paying attention.
I'm listening.
Hi, this is Rebecca. I was playing Nat, and she was the innocent of this chronicle.
This is Tim. I was playing John, the visionary. Yeah.
That'll show him.
You nailed it.
Nailed it.
I'm Erika. I was playing Pheia, who was the Redeemer and asthmatic, and chronically carried fish skin with her. Never got to use it.
I am Lex. I portrayed Todd the Defender.
And I'm Rob, and I was the ST this time. Thank you for joining us. This is a little bit different than we usually do stuff, but we wanted to do sort of a post-season Q&A, and we decided to record it live. So our Ko-Fi subscribers are in the chat with us. They're going to be asking questions, and we've already solicited a bunch of questions from people. And we're just going to kind of talk about the Brine and Blood campaign now that it's done. Now, Tim, you could start going through. I know you got a spreadsheet and a list, and that's all you want to see.
Rob, are you aware of the YouTube videos about Dr. Tran, an animated parody for...
So here's the deal. I was aware of them back in, like, the fucking Newgrounds era, and then blanked that shit out of my mind until somebody in the fan Discord posted the Dr. Tran video, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I've never heard of this. Clicked play,
to explain quickly,
and was blown back in time.
Newgrounds was a website. It had a lot of different functionalities. It had some games. It had some videos. It had different sections on it. Very, very popular in like the early 2000s.
Yeah, it was like pre-YouTube Flash video site.
Yeah, before there was shit posting, there was Newgrounds.
There was Newgrounds, yeah, and that is where I don't know if it was actually on Newgrounds, but like the video that I saw was very shit. The funny part is that is not where Dr. Tran's name came from. Dr. Tran was visually based on a guy I know whose last name obviously is not Tran, but he is Vietnamese, and I was just like basically Googling like common Vietnamese last names that aren't this guy's last name because I don't want to base a shithead on like this very nice man. And Tran came up.
Mm-hmm. Seems solid.
So I am aware of those videos. I had just forgotten I was.
All right, this one's for all. During character creation, how do you limit the scope of the character to fit into a limited campaign or even a one-shot? How do you keep the information about your character backstory, narrative decisions behind mechanics, etc. relevant and concise to the limited campaign one-shot? I often find I either end up with too much material for the character in a one-shot or limited series, or I have information that isn't relevant to the plot. I get lost in the weeds, and sometimes I end up wishing that we'd gotten to XYZ. How do you keep yourselves from falling into this trap?
So I have my answer for that, but you guys were the players, so I'm like way more interested at first in hearing how you guys approached making players for one shot or characters for one shots or shorter campaigns, especially since I have not really played in shorter campaigns. I have just run them. How'd you guys do?
I could tell you mine, which is you put everything on your sheet, and if you get to use it, hooray. If you don't, you don't. That's basically how it goes about that. There's some... I don't do a super in-depth character backstory, but that's kind of true for most of mine stuff. I build my backstory as the character goes a lot of times and build in the details. So for one-shots, I usually borrow a character I've done before for some of the more beginning parts of the character stuff.
Well, so like John was based on a like a hunter character.
Yeah.
You like played in the past, right?
Yes. John was a hunter that I played in a couple different games over time, so I use that as part of the background of the hunts that he participated in previously, which ties in a little bit with a further question later on, which is how I decided that him and Todd knew each other because we'd hunted in Connecticut together, though Todd is not quite the same character that John interacted with.
I cribbed Pheia's name from another character that I had played who was from an entirely different genre. I did work in a maritime living history museum for many years and felt that that would be a good font of knowledge to be able to draw from for a Blood Dim Tides campaign. Turns out all of that experience became extremely relevant. The rest of it, I'll be very honest, was built by talking to the ST, the players, and kind of communicating about, because we wanted to know what kind of story we wanted to tell together. And so I didn't want superfluous stuff that was never going to see the light of day, but I also wanted enough character that it didn't seem tailor-built just for a hunter game. I wanted her to be weird. Like, there is stuff about Pheia that just never made it fully on screen. There wasn't time, and honestly, it wasn't relevant, but it was there in case it did come up, because you never know what's going to come up in RP.
Like tilapia skins.
I mean, the tilapia skins...
You definitely don't know what's going to come up in our RP with fucking Erika.
No, that's honestly why I just have stuff. There were times when I was sitting at the table. I do have family history with holistic medicine, so I do know some of the stuff off the top of my head. Tilapia skin actually came from a TV show and a first aid class. It was like in the book as a fun fact.
You can't tell me that those are based on real facts. I know that they are. I just don't want to hear you tell me.
Rob.
Tell him.
She already did.
She did the whole fucking campaign. She's been doing it since January.
Get used to it.
There are hospitals in America right now using actual fucking fish skin on burn patients because there aren't enough skin graft donations. And the fish skin actually works better.
Okay, that part I like. The other part made me sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't carry those around with them to use in emergency purposes, though.
Yeah, but they're also not supernatural.
Neither were yours.
I also have Respire, though, which wound up being more offensive than restorative.
We'll get into it later. We can't talk about that.
Pheia was just also a little bit out there.
Your answer to the question, though, was basically like you just took the things that you wanted to see and cribbed from your real life.
Honestly, yes. And I figured also that one of the questions Rob asked us was, how did you imbue? What supernatural creature did you imbue by?
Yes.
And because I love Changeling and I love Fae, I kind of wanted to not play someone anti-Fae, but definitely play someone who had done harm to the Fae, whether by accident or design. So I figured the Fae would probably be drawn to someone who was a little strange and had some weird stories to tell and definitely would pull beer bread out of their bag for no reason and, would extend some hospitality to strangers.
Honestly, the most sensible thing Pheia did the entire campaign was show up to the hunt with snacks.
Yeah.
And if you'll notice, Todd did the same thing in the finale.
Right. It was that educator energy.
Talking about Todd.
So for like a short campaign, I tend to imagine characters as someone that's appearing in a movie, right? So I don't want to get more complicated than what would be covered for a movie character. And I don't want to, obviously come up short and have this like paper thin concept. So I basically take some movie characters that I like and that I find interesting, and I'll grab personality quirks, I'll grab just like different backstory ideas, and then try to be like, all right, so how would this work in the world of darkness? And Todd is actually a hyper-stressed version of a personality in Bullet Train.
Yes.
And he is actually meant to end up with a lot in common with Ladybug, who is this person that is perfectly competent and capable and should be in this other story, but sort of ends up in the wrong one and is a source of like bad luck. And I kind of just figured that's how it would go. So I wanted to kind of have like a bit of his personality in it, and because it's set in the late '90s and Brad Pitt was kind of like, he was particularly like a very big deal and a staple for that era of movies. So I leaned into some fucking Brad Pitt tropes.
Oh yeah.
Also, for the record, I had a very long list of gear that the character kept. And
A bunch of that was in your truck, right?
Snacks was actually specifically one of the things my character had from session 1 in his fucking truck.
It's funny. It's Hunter. I feel like
I had a
is
whole list of stuff in the truck.
I was going to apologize, but I'm not sorry.
Rip to the truck.
So for me, I feel like a lot of the key to that is having only a little bit more than you are able to share. Sometimes it's hard to judge for sure for the length of the story that you want to tell. But I find that the sheet can be a really good guideline for that. If you kind of focus in on what about the sheet motivated you and what you wanted to put there, for me, that ends up leading me to what I want to expand on in the backstory. A good example for this character would be that something that's written pretty flushed out is Nat's ex-relationship with Sadie, the cockroach shifter. That part of the backstory is very, very fleshed out. Even though very, very little of it made it onto the show, that gave me the ability to take bits and pieces as I was ready to share them and have something to work with, where it doesn't actually really matter if I expand on Nat's other relationships and what her kind of romantic history is. Having zoom in points to go big on, something that you can really describe, that can really help you feel like you've covered more ground in your character. And that's why in backstories I tend to really like narrating moments. It's also helpful, of course, to get the basics, maybe age, maybe where you're from, things like that. But if you can narrate defining moments in your backstory, I think sometimes that really helps you make sure they come up and play, because you're ready to explain them. You're ready to look at another character and say, this is what happened to my family, this is what happened to me, this is what made me who I am. When it comes to feeling like you've missed something and you're really sad about it, sometimes the best answer is to just ask for what you want. I'm really bad at that, but it's a skill I've been trying to get better with. Literally look at another player and be like, hello, please, I really wanted this to come up, and I think you're the person to help me. I'm not trying to tell you how your character would act. I'm not trying to control the narrative, none of those things. Literally just expressing to another player rather, hey, I'm excited to share this with you, and I think it'll be coming up, and maybe it hasn't been coming up right for me. Is that something that you're down for? Do you see that working out? That can be a helpful conversation to have.
Mm-hmm.
So, prepping for a shorter story, right, or shorter story. These are the same fucking length. Every time I run, I'm I'm gonna do a short thing, and then it ends up being the same length of time as the fucking
Our first season
of the campaign. But prepping for shorter seasons, I don't know. Very early on, I was like, "Hey guys, this is the story I want to tell. We're gonna do it." And then when your players go "Yeah, we don't really want to do that," going all right, well, let's pivot and flesh out one part and just axe another part of it. When I ran fucking Asheville, I rewrote 70% of that game before we did the first episode. I think I've said somewhere this was supposed to be a 4-shot running 4 different campaigns with multiple different character types, where you would see the whole story from 4 different angles, or 3 different angles, because it was going to start and end with Hunter. And then when people were I don't really know if I want to do that, we pivoted, and I was all right, well, let's just focus real hard on the Hunter shit. Here's kind of what I want. Here's where the expectation is going to go. And then after the recording that led to I think episode 9 or 10, I don't know, partway through the season, we sat down and we're all right, guys, we're not even going to record today. We're just going to sit down and talk, and we're going to find what do you guys want? What are you looking for? What do you hope to we're getting towards the end of the story. Here's the points that we hit that I wanted to. Here's vaguely where I want to go without giving you guys spoilers as to what's going to happen. What do you want out of the story? So, if you're a storyteller, just straight up asking your players and having a conversation about what they want and what parts of their backstory are helpful.
Yep.
There's huge chunks of story that I didn't get to or touch on at all. but that's just not where the story went. So I don't like have any real regrets that we didn't get there. It's just, you know, leaving yourself open to the table. I know both STs and players, I feel like sometimes can like plan too much and like prescribe too much of their backstory for a short game or a long game. So I don't know, just being pretty chill about it. I think you guys did a fucking great job. Like, I think you guys did a really good job. So I am very proud of everybody at the table.
Yeah, thank you. I also think that, like, adding on, not everything that you have in your backstory is necessary to come up explicitly. And it can be disappointing. It can be. But it can also be really enriching to know that where your character's motives and where their past is coming from is something that never makes it to the table or to the other players. That makes them a whole person sometimes. And you can take pride in knowing that you made someone fleshed out who has more depth than can be seen.
Like to that point, I think a lot of listener feedback, and like everybody in the chat can confirm or deny this as they want, but I feel like a lot of the feedback that we see sometimes is when there is that little sprinkling of hint of backstory stuff or things that have happened in the past or little touches on things that may not fully come up but are like, you know, suggested or hinted at, drive way more sort of interest and engagement and stuff than just walking up and being like, hello, my name is Philip and this is my backstory.
Philip was our Avenger.
Yeah.
Philip's dead. Philip's super. Speaking of which, not a question, but I was talking to Lex about it. I mentioned Lex about it earlier today. I was thinking about the Path of Night campaign, the first campaign circle. You guys had the exact same creeds as they had, with one difference. They had an Avenger and you had a Defender, and they lost a lot of people, and you guys didn't lose anybody. And that is like the major difference between the two of you.
I mean,
it was
they
just
also-
really interesting to me.
They also
to think
kept
about.
splitting up, which was a terrible
Oh,
idea.
hey, dude, you guys split up a bunch
Defender would
too.
have told them to not do that.
Yeah, we went
You did it a bunch.
We
I
went
don't
to
know.
two separate rooms that during the most dangerous point.
No, there were full sections where you guys split up.
There was a surveillance section that for some reason, two other people started tailing sharks for some reason.
Which is what I'm saying. You
Look.
guys split up a bunch.
That can be a later argument unless someone puts it in the Q&A.
Yeah, fair enough. We do have other questions to get to. It was a.
I don't think Lex and I have any regrets about following the Sharks.
I didn't say anything about regrets. One, going back, we all did a good job, not just the players. Rob did too, so
for
round
sure.
of applause for him.
Yes,
Not from us
absolutely.
because we're recording and that's
Thank
terrible
you.
sounding. And then secondly, we got a question from chat. I know most of you have done some STing. Do you all have a preferred length of story that you prefer to tell? One shot, shorter campaigns, epic campaigns, etc. I'm going to start with our resident storyteller Lex on this one.
I think I prefer like long epics, but I don't necessarily see the conclusion of those epics. Which is why I had to pause. Like, well, I mean, I like them in theory, but I've only actually finished a handful. I've probably started like not even joking, like a couple thousand games, but I think I finished like 5. And that's like maybe.
That's more than most of it. You fucking finished the first campaign for us.
Yeah, I count that. Yeah.
Well, it was like fucking 5 years. You should count that.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a group of characters having multiple problems that they need to kind of figure out, because to me, when I'm storytelling, I kind of feel like just having one problem and not having to consider things like how are we going to prioritize things as kind of like almost like an incomplete world. So I tend to want people to kind of really have to think about like, okay, we've got the resources to go deal with this. We haven't got the time to deal with it, but it means that these other problems may progress. And I tend to feel like in order to really kind of tell a story like that, I have to have a big world. Short stories are fun, but
Yeah.
like I think that's probably where I lean if I'm like making up a game.
Erika?
Having run so few games in perspective, but having played in several, what I like is the idea that what these stories represent is a zoom in on part of a living world, which is why I chose to run the Blades in the Dark system for my Halloween production, was because it allows you to have ongoing issues in the world that the players can impact for good or bad, but allows you to focus in on one problem at a time without having to stop and think out all those little moments and just make some little clocks on index cards, which is about all my educator brain can handle at the end of a day. I mean, I write a lot. I have written a lot. I taught myself to write when I was 3. So to tell stories outside of a game context, I like worlds that feel rich, and that does not mean that they need to be long. Short stories can be just as rich as long epics. So, I mean, I guess what I like are quality stories, and the length doesn't really matter. I like a story that is complete start to finish, and if it doesn't take as long to tell it, that's okay.
I like longer games in general as a player. I have a tendency to rather be a co-DM of sorts or administrator just based on the amount of times that I've done games and stuff like that. I don't always find that I have an idea for a story or a plot. I'm just pretty good at like action reaction and having some like sketch ideas of how the world is working around it. I don't know where I want things to go, and I've always struggled with that particularly. But I'm very good at making stuff run.
Can confirm.
Thank you, buddy.
So that specialty I like more. You want spreadsheets and things going on in the background that do calculations? Great. I can do that stuff. Coming up with the story plots and beats and sometimes is escapes me to some degree. Rebecca?
My answer is somewhat similar to Erika's. When it comes to SCing, I prefer SCing things that are character intensive, world intensive, and detail intensive. So if I can sit someone down and run a one-shot where it's like all in, cinematic, very textural, very like detailed and invested, I'm going to have a good time. And if I can run something of a longer story, all those qualifications, I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to have less fun with like the beer and pretzels variety. That's sort of where my lines are. If I had to pick one or the other, I would love to be able to tell, honestly, I see the beauty in all the different lengths of stories. I think that I would prefer longer, but I can't say that for sure. It's really about the quality of it.
I think the games that I have run for the podcast are probably realistically the length of game that I like to run. In theory, I like huge, long epics. Big, chaotic, like lots of moving parts. I like the stories that Lex likes in a lot of ways, speaking of like what we were doing. But I'm also pretty sure I have undiagnosed ADD, and I start to forget my notes and start to I get bored playing a character after like 3 years. I'm just like, I want to tell a new story and do something different. Like, I know people who have been playing the same characters for like 15 years, and that boggles my mind. Like, I literally could never. So between my I have stories I have to tell, and like they're long and epic, and me being like, my brain is starting to unravel because I have too many threads, I have sort of accidentally found myself in the middle ground of running like medium length games, like a game that goes from beginning to end, and Erika, to your point, like concludes, and then I like to leave, leave open ends so that if in the future I'm like, oh, I have another idea, and we could do the same world with the same characters. You guys interested in that? That there is room to go from there, but only if there is a place to go. I don't generally prescribe more than I think I could handle to myself. And I always actually prescribe an idea in my head, or I'm like, oh yeah, this will be like 8 or 10 episodes. Oh, this will be like 4 episodes. And then it's like 3 times longer than that because, I don't know, partly because of who we are, for the podcast, who we are as a table.
Yeah.
And partly because I'm like, all right, guys, we're going to do 4 episodes. Here's 13 plot threads and 12 competing organizations who all have interconnected politics and like social dynamics and hate each other. Go, do what you want. And
3 to 4 episodes.
We're going to do all of it in 4 episodes. I believe myself this time.
One of the places I think we all hit our stride in terms of the stories we tell is like the interconnectivity of people and whether they love, hate, or laugh together. Like, the RP between us is all really strong. It's kind of hard to cut that short, even if it's not advancing the story so much, because it is itself a story.
I also think I'm biased because, like, Path of Night is the first campaign I've played as a player in that has ever concluded. Ever. and I have been playing like role-playing games on and off for 30 years at this point, and I have only ever finished a single campaign. So while in theory I like huge epics, I get mad at them because they just die.
Yeah.
In my experience, they just die, and then I'm left like, but plot go?
Yeah.
Where does it go? What do we do? So I like telling self-contained stories at this point. Like, that's kind of where we're at.
Got a next question. I think this might be a little bit shorter based on what it is. Did you guys think about playing rank 5 edges for the PCs? Or if that wasn't going to come in the campaign, which ones do you think would hypothetically get later?
I saw this question and came up with my answers for that. But before I say anything, I would love to hear what you guys have to say. If you have thoughts. If you're like, I don't know what the fucking rank 5 edges are, then that's a fine answer too.
I am so smooth brain about this. I didn't even look.
I think some of us wouldn't even look at them until we were there because they're kind of
Yeah.
characterful, right? There's a lot of different options that could come about.
I think from the edges that did manifest in game, some of that was more of a conversation with the table of like, hey, does it feel right that this actually would manifest based on my actions? No? All right, let's go with a different option.
Especially with rank 5 when you're starting to deal with like 2 or 3 derangements on top of your normal. Like what you're going to be choosing and the edge that's going to be coming out is possibly going to be a lot more different than you originally expected.
It's more than 2 or 3 derangements at that point, but yes.
I wanted the heavenly edge.
Okay, so
The one where you get like in a mini exaltation and just like absolutely throw down with a monster and shock it because you can go toe to toe with it.
I know that's what you wanted.
Cool. It's so rad. Shining aura.
Again, who doesn't want to play Exalted?
Right. It's a little bit of a genre shift when
okay,
you use it, but the story makes sense because of the origin story of
Right.
like hunters.
Yeah, no.
None of the E word.
He didn't notice it.
Do you have any thoughts?
No, I noticed.
My thoughts were that I absolutely did not check what the rank 5 edges were whatsoever because I wanted to come organically to that point. Would have had a conversation with Rob and the table and said like, hey, these are my narrative reasons, and I would have gotten feedback, and I probably would have needed some mechanical help on how that worked anyway, which is great to have at this table.
So here's the deal. I actually did think about this. As the Hunter storyteller, I feel like I needed to. So for those who don't know, Hunter rank 5 edges, so you cannot buy edges with XP. You have to earn them through conviction expenditures and like you rank up your virtues and this whole thing. You cannot buy them. At a max, if you max out your virtue to 10, you may have ranks 1 through 4. You cannot get 5. Period. End of discussion. It is only granted to you by the ST at a certain moment. It is functionally a plot line, and I cannot remember if this is just my rule or if this is an actual rule. But to me, once you manifest your rank 5 edge, you have the conclusion. You have until the conclusion of that story, and then you have functionally NPC'd out. That gaining a rank 5 edge is the end of your story. Period. I did consider the way I was going to handle rank 5 edges. And by the way, if we ever run more Hunter, like, don't hold me to any shit because my brain changes all the time. But my thought was that basically if I felt, because it's ST granted, even though you were not at Virtue 10, if I felt like the story called for that moment, I was going to allow for an edge. But it was functionally like the way it was going to be used, at least in Brine and Blood, was a burnout for your candle. That is a burn all your gasoline right now and go out kind of mechanic.
Yep.
And I did think about which ones I would give all of you. And what access it would be. Now, sorry, Lex, I explicitly did not even bother looking at the celestial edges, the fallen edges, which is, we didn't go there, although you were the closest to maybe, if you had said yes during a particular scene, you would have been the closest to getting a fallen edge. I also didn't look at the hunter edges from, I forget the name of the book, but the one that takes place in the Middle East that has all like the crazy edges in it.
Holy War.
I just looked at the human edges, right? Because edges are fallen, human, and celestial, basically. Lex, I thought Burn fit you better than Blaze. Or not Blaze, Blast. So Burn, basically, like, you are infused with searing energy. It's sort of a natural step up from Brand. You may touch monsters and it burns them, or if they touch you, it burns them. It is sort of like an expression of zealous wrath defensively. It is a punishment for those who would touch you, which is very cool. Blast is neat, but it, like, shoots lightning and like electrifies your ward. It's cool, but it like didn't really fit to me in the way that Todd had expressed himself with the story. Erika. Oh, for you it was shame, 100%. So there's, there are two options. One is shame, and the other one was abjure. So I didn't think abjure really fit Pheia's whole vibe very well. Now there's like an argument to be made for all of these.
I don't know what either of
so
them
abjure
means,
is like, there's no accessing other realms. No one can cross the shroud. No one can cross the umbra. Blah blah blah. Not really Pheia's vibe, particularly when shame is, I'm going to tell you no, and you're going to feel bad about it. Like, shame's whole deal is.
All I'm hearing is that Rob's trying to give Erika shame.
It's a long shot.
So basically, you give out a like wave of shame, which is kind of how you interact with some of the stuff. If monsters are truly penitent, if they are like, I'm sorry for my actions, it has no effect on them. If they truly are, if they're not, it sends them into like a frenzy of shame, and like they turn on each other, and they like it's using your words to like impact how they feel.
Okay.
Whereas the other one is like, no crossing the gauntlet. And it's like, well, okay, it's cool.
Yeah.
Not really Pheia's vibe. Tim, for your visionary, is Augur. I was going to give him Augur. The way that you had used Foresee and the way you had used Delve, I forget the name of the other one, but the other one basically is like, look into, use Delve, or use Foresee, but like, you can alter how the monsters act through it, which is neat. But you were much more like investigative, and the other one is delve but forward rather than into the past.
That's neat.
So instead of it is truly like future vision.
Look at the future and then die.
Yeah, kind of.
Very helpful.
Rebecca, they're both neat. I thought after the finale, Blaze fit better for how you were playing. So Blaze is basically like, you make a source of light, whether it's a flashlight or a spotlight or whatever, or yourself, into like deadly sunlight. Like it just ramps up the like light themes that anytime you use your edges, that had been very thematic to it. You specifically didn't take hide and then took like radiate, illuminate. Like that really fit. The other one is cool. It's more about interactions with other hunters. So like, because we talked about it, innocence can go on the like, I'm talking to hunters path, or I'm going on like the like dealing with monsters path. Nat like trended more towards talking to and dealing with the monsters, like Mateo and all that kind of stuff, rather than like using the edges that are like, I'm pulling you back from the brink, fellow hunters. The other one is specifically like, you lay hands on another hunter and like, hey man, relax and don't do violent stuff. And if you do, you're going to burn, which is not really her vibe, at least as expressed in the story. To me. Dallas's, I don't remember. I wrote it down. I specifically wrote it down.
A gun.
Yeah,
Dallas
pretty
gets
much.
a gun. Oh, in prison.
He's just in prison.
It's yeah.
Yep, he just goes to jail.
I thought that was my edge.
It's basically just a much stronger version of Burden, where you don't have to keep eye contact anymore. You just go sit the fuck down and like walk off. And he had expressed that a lot more. The other one is cool. It's about illuminating and showing like non-hunters around you the nature of the supernatural. But the way he had like played through the story, that was the one that I was leaning towards. So that was I actually did think about it because, there was a possibility that it came up. It was not likely given the story we were going for and the tone we were going for, but I definitely prepped for it in case.
There are a lot of weird critters in the World of Darkness beyond the main splats. Any you can think of that would make for fun interactions with the cast, or personal favorites you'd like to encounter in a game?
Wait.
Rob is a skeleton.
Sorry, clarification. Cast, not characters.
That might mean the cast of characters.
Yeah.
Fun interactions with the it says cast.
So what?
It's fine.
So what are the supernaturals that like we would like to see and could tell like fun stories with in the World of Darkness? I can answer that. You saw mine. That's what Brine and Blood was all about. Kulorvia and fucking Rokia and all the weird ocean shit is like my favorite. I made a whole fucking mini series to showcase how cool they are. And or how creepy and weird they are.
Yeah, I don't know. I learned a lot of my stuff through the games that we're playing here, so like I'm actually more familiar with Chronicles than I am like classic World of Darkness. Weirdly.
Same.
Yeah, and I think so far the only thing if I was going to talk about any of them that we'll go to Chronicles was because we have run one, is I have never interacted with, I think I've only interacted with the Pure once. And
they're cool.
They're
wild.
It sounds like a lot of fun.
The Pure in Chronicles are fucking cool.
It's definitely a different vibe in a lot of ways than the rest of the Chronicles because a lot of the werewolves feel like very isolated or very small packs, and then here comes a mob of werewolves with way less restrictions.
Particularly in the difference between Forsaken and like the Garu, it's like the Pure are very fucking cool.
Yeah, a lot of the splat books from that are interesting. I haven't done a lot, but Deviant has some neat stuff as like dark superhero kind of stuff like that. Looks really cool. I really don't want to interact with Prometheans. They just seem like sad boys all the time. I got enough of that at this table.
I want it so much, and I only know one other person who's like, I want to play Prometheus, and every time we bring it up to Lex, he's like, no, you don't. It's too sad. And I'm like, but that's what I specifically for me.
Okay, well, you solo RPG yourself there.
My answer to this question is very sweet and simple and cheesy. I would like to play with the special interests of the SC. And, like, I know that sounds like I'm sucking up.
Boo, cop out.
But, like, genuinely, that means that when you have questions, the SC can answer them. Like, as someone who likes to organically learn these worlds and likes to talk to people who want to talk about the thing that they're talking about, like, yes, there are certain parts of the world that I find interesting, but I will not care about them nearly as much as if the ST is passionate about the subjects that they're bringing to the table.
Don't sigh. I know your answer. Erika just looks dead into the camera and goes, more changeling.
I mean, yeah, obviously I want more changelings. I want to play more changeling. I want to deal with more changeling. But that being said, Quijin is a great story. I would love to interact with more of like the obscure spirits of the world. You know, I love the werewolf, the apocalypse spirit system of the shamanist aspect of it and interacting with the ideas of things. I love the idea that where you have Banes, you could also have Gorgons. I mean, we touched on the idea of drones in Hunter, but...
Not just the idea of drones.
I know.
There were 3 different spirit splats that appeared in... Not counting Wraith. Wraith is its own thing.
Right, yeah. But, like, I would love to play, like, a Kami game.
That's the other one.
Yeah. You know, there's good shit out there. There's fun, like, spirit-based, interesting, like, triadic stuff that has nothing to do with the werewolves. I mean, obviously that werewolf is the vehicle for it.
Well, they like to claim so.
Stupid
non-ocean werewolves.
I would like Quijin. I would obviously like more changeling and more weirdness along with that. I would like to see the more obscure aspects of the spirit world come into play. Yeah, I want Gorgons. I want Kami. I want...
everything.
Don't care how. I want it now.
What about you,
Fulvarup
buddy?
Assault.
What are the goofy, weird, obscure parts of the World of Darkness that you want to touch on without going into spoilers for War of Ages?
Ooh, that changes things. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff that I like in the World of Darkness, but it can be difficult to tell a story with it without the story feeling like, I don't know, forced and bizarre. I'd want give me like a very grounded story with Arisen.
God.
You know what I mean? I feel like...
you know that's my shit. You know that's what I want so bad.
I'm just trying to pick something that's not going to be featured in War of Ages.
Fuck!
Totally, definitely
This is
won't.
like backdooring nose to me in case fucking rolling dice.
Now, honestly, all right, if I was going to pick something, I would actually say a Wraith the Oblivion story that not just like the typical Shadowlands stuff.
Orpheus is something I've always wanted to see.
Oh, man, I once played an Orpheus game.
I'm jealous.
And I fucking loved. A friend of mine ran it. It had a nice beginning, middle, and end. It was a blast. Shit, now I'm distracted thinking about that game.
I'm sorry. You
Well,
said something and it piped my brain out.
The question was, what weird, like, obscure splats do you want? You said Orpheus, and Orpheus is a good fucking answer. I don't
Yeah.
like...
Yeah, I mean, I would also like Wraith Helldiving stuff because, like, the Labyrinth.
Yeah.
And the denizens of like everywhere close to oblivion.
Fucking
There's
Neverborn and shit.
Yeah, like for example, in the underworld, there's a place called the Sea of Glass. It is a wine-colored ocean that is filled with shards of soul steel. But it's like weird and magnetized. And what people don't know when they get close to it is that just below the surface, there are thousands upon thousands of specters. And when you reach to collect any of that soul steel, they rise up to grab you and pull you under and rip you apart with shards of like soul steel. And it is just this weird, creepy, terrifying concept. And I love it.
This is fucking awesome.
And like, there's a staircase that's really edgy in Wraith.
It's all really edgy and right.
So,
Love it. It's so sad. It's my shit.
there's a type of steel that gets made that's not soul steel, but it's made for Stygian steel.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one of the elements that's used to make it is an ore that requires that you go into down a super thin stairway, and nobody knows what goes to the other side because they're too scared to. And they chip away at the like razor thin like walls and try not to get knocked over. And it is a regular hunting space for like specters. And it is just a very creepy concept, and I love
That's
those things.
fucking awesome.
I would love to do that.
Tim, I know you got a list. I'm going to jump in here because I
Yep.
saw a question
No,
that got posted in the chat.
I was going to avoid that one.
I actually have a legitimate answer to that question, though.
Okay. I don't know if it's the same question, but the
I'm talking about the guards the shoals question.
Okay, nope, different one.
Yep, he was definitely looking at a different one.
I'm looking at different ones. All right, I'm going to do
Tim and
this
I
in
were
guards the
looking at
shoals
the
voice
same
because that is what was put in the chat. You focus too much on dirt walkers. Where is all cool shark action? Very bad storytelling. Sharks coolest part of finale. Episode need more sharks. Like when sharks and whale devour kraken. Why happen off screen? That best part. Here's the real legitimate answer to that question.
Tragdar was a
Man. So I said earlier that this was initially going to be my initial conception of this game was a 4-part series with 3 different splats, one of which was Hunt of the Reckoning. The other one was Rokia, and one of the angles of the story that we were going to see was following a slew of Rokia who were more involved in Mateo's side of the story and the Rokian side of the story. When I collapsed all 3 of them into like a singular, more expansive, more hunter-focused story, I wanted it to feel like there were multiple other stories going on at once. So like the big part of that was the Rokia were like off doing their thing when the hunters were on screen elsewhere, right? Like they were having a different adventure. Saunders and his team are the 3rd part of that story, and we were going to do a possessed game of like Fomori infected fucking monsters. So like Veronica Shears was loosely based on one of the players' like initial concepts of like I forget what the fucking Siren Cosmetics
did you
possessed her.
take my
I said
Pentex
I said
Cosmo?
loosely based. You can still play her, and the reason it's happening off screen is because I'm not
And
convinced.
you didn't let her be named Erika?
When it was my character concept, you said, "Oh, what should I name this NPC?" And
I
then I said
said-
Erika, and you said no.
I said no.
Would have made it too much yours.
It would have made it too much yours, and then you could not have played her in the future because I'm not convinced that we might not, if we like have a recording Sunday where it's like, oh shit, a bunch of us can't fucking be here, that we won't run those fucking games.
I'm playing a Pentex first team Fomori
Yes,
named
you are.
Hunk.
Yeah, straight up.
Tim's gonna play my best friend Tofu.
Oh my god.
I don't know this
fucking-
reference.
What a fucking pull. You don't know the tofu reference?
No.
Okay.
You're not ready for that, but I'll
But yeah, so the actual answer is the reason they were like off screen slightly is because they were off screen slightly. They were different stories that I had prepared that were happening simultaneously. So like the hunters had their very important part, but other shit is also happening, which I don't know, we may get to see in the future.
I would like to know the question Tim wanted to avoid.
I
No.
answered it in the chat.
What is the funniest moment that made everyone pause, blink, and then start laughing? We know it.
We know
I know
it.
it was on.
It
I
was-
left it on air.
It was the record scratch.
I edited in a record scratch.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any other standouts.
There was a shocking amount of crack ups for a
Yeah.
horror game.
Honestly, I think my favorite is not the fish skins. My favorite is actually Erika sliding the age of her NPCs every time she and Rob had a conversation.
That's, any answer I could give is just Erika fucked with me. And that's
My old people fought in the Civil War, Rob. Have some respect.
she's 102 years old and she regularly goes ice fishing in Alaska. No, she doesn't.
No
Do you
yelling.
want me to get her
sorry,
on the phone? Like, I still have this bitch on my phone.
I don't care if she's a real person. No,
I don't care if she's a real person. No, she's not.
I'm on board with Rob on this one.
She may have actually fought in the Civil War.
No. Okay,
calm down. It's like I explained to Lex, a boss of mine, once, who, like, on paper, if you showed up with this character concept, your ST would be like, fuck no, dude. Absolutely not. That's bullshit. I don't care if they're real people. The answer is no.
I think it was pretty funny that we had 3 sexy merits on sheets.
Yep.
Without
I
ever talking
can't run
about
a
it.
game,
Yep.
apparently, without you guys just all being fucking hot as shit.
No, I have a theory on this. I have a theory that I have influenced the table in a very positive light and that I have pushed everyone to be sexy. Because the first game we played, people were like, sexy, that's not important. And then I've peer pressured everyone.
Okay, time out. Neil was never going to be sexy. His concept is ruined the second
So-
he's sexy.
I react
Here's-
poorly to peer pressure.
Here's the problem, is that it does not matter what my appearance rating or what merits I take on any character. I project my sexuality as who I am as a person and the chaos,
Unhinged.
absolute unhinged chaos goblinry. Like,
Oh
I could
my
be...
god. Sorry, not what we're talking about. Just somebody in the chat reminded me of eggshells in the cloaca. Now
Oh, yeah.
I'm upset again.
Yeah. Thought crimes. Cloaca full of eggshells.
There's a
Turtle
reason
power.
in forgetting Asheville that like one of the major villains was fucking thought crimes, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
He just like, oh god,
He's just me. In your brain, living rent free.
so upsetting.
All right, moving on.
Thank you, Tim. This is the one time I'm like, yes, Tim energy. Let's go.
Well, you're still talking.
Damn, Tim. Damn.
Were there any moments early in the game that you seriously thought a character was going to die?
I want to hear from you guys on this one.
Did you
just-
say early in the game?
Any moment would be fine.
I just thought Erika was gonna die.
Yeah, well, out of game.
because I was still very much recovering.
You're always on the verge of dying. It's
Yeah.
fine. I don't know. I wasn't sure if Lex was going to pass the getting hit by a truck roll enough.
Yeah, that was dicey, so to speak.
Yeah, getting hit by a car rolls very dicey roll. Very dicey roll. Or truck. I think I got hit by a truck.
Yeah, big-
It was a shipping truck full
Yeah.
of ice and fish.
I definitely thought we could have died if the helicopter crashed. I knew that at that point Rob was like, you can die here. Do try to live.
So yeah, it's Hunter. You guys could die at any fucking second, but for that one marathon recording for the finale, and actually also episode 13 because we cut that recording up into 2 episodes. I did sit everybody down. I was like, from here on out, any scene could be the finale of the show. Like, I am going to be gunning to kill you because this is fucking like the odds here are insane. Good luck, everybody.
I have a confession to make. For a minute there, not that I was like worried it was going to happen, but I knew I would never forget or forgive myself if it did. But man, did I not want to get rolled in a hospital by a fucking octopus. I did not want to go out like that. And gonna be real, there were moments I was like, all right, well, if I jump out the window, maybe I'll live, and if I die, I didn't get murdered by an octopus
Right.
in a hospital. So I guess that was a concern.
I wish Garrett was here to help me tell this story because for, I think, the final recording, there's a moment where Nat very much could have died. And for whatever reason, I had absolute faith in the dice in the universe that was not going to happen. I don't feel that way often at all. I had no doubts in my body that I was going to survive because I was doing the right thing and I had full confidence and I'd placed myself lovingly into the grid. And I didn't realize that Garrett was freaking out.
Multiple times during the finale, there were times where I'm like, man, these guys are doing really good. I'm really proud of them, but like, I hope the tension is still there. And then I would check in and be like, hey guys, just so, and Garrett would be like, dude, shut the fuck up.
Because Garrett had like a whole conversation with me in the kitchen after, and he was like, how were you that calm? I don't, like, he was right. He was the one who was right, not me.
Yeah, it was nuts.
He's the only one who had a deep sea dive. It was fine for the rest of us.
Yeah.
It's just another day as a hunter. Everyone else go in the front. I'll be here in the back.
I loved the multiple times that you out of character were like, I'm not going first. It was fucking great.
I'm not going first, and nor am I going last. Like,
I actually, until the recording came out, I forgot that we had been recording so long that Tim forgot that he had 4C. And so when we went to open the door of the submersible, I'm like, yeah, can you, like, peek? And he's like, huh? And I remember being at the table, Tim was just like, I'm not opening it.
That was a long recording day. Full cards on the table, right? Like, so I had only slept for a single hour the night before, and then I worked. I went to work before recording, and then we ended up recording for... The actual recording itself was 8.5 to 9 hours, but we were here for 10 or 11.
Yeah.
It was a long push. So, like...
Yeah.
Listen, while I was editing the finale, like, particularly the final scenes, I'm like, I'm shocked we're coherent.
Yeah.
But I wanted that.
Well,
we wanted to do it to push through, to like have that energy and like not take a break. And be like, okay, guys, you got out and saved the lab and the whale.
Yep.
That was, by the way, maybe the time I heard Tim be the most stressed. Was when Erika and Garrett were like, "Fuck it, we saved the whale. We go hot. Stealth mission over." And Tim was like, "Oh god."
And just at the same time, Team Chaos Gremlins were just like, "No, we're not doing this anymore."
Which would be fine if I wasn't in the room at the same time. Todd's in the other room. What am I supposed to do?
Foresee and see how this goes.
Badly.
I was nervous every scene we were separate, John.
I'm gonna die, and it's gonna be Todd's fault.
I was like, speaking of character death, I cannot say enough. I am an ST who like is going to throw every fucking thing under the sun at you, and then like sit off to the side and cheer and be like, "Go guys, I want you to succeed." I know I'm the one throwing glass at you, but like, I hope you don't get cut. And like, I am legitimately proud of how you guys did. That shit was crazy. Like some of the roles like really locked in. There was some luck involved, but like there were multiple hurdles that were not as big of a speed bump as they very much could have been because you guys were so proactive and like hitting where you were supposed to be hitting. You guys did fucking great.
Pheia also spent 8 willpower throughout all that.
It's because you love having like
technically 9
ridiculous amounts of willpower in your sheet because you're like, I don't want to spend XP on this later.
Even beyond that, like, so I don't remember the actual final numbers, but you guys walked out of that final hunt with like barely any conviction left, no willpower left practically. Like nobody got hurt, but like
we'd spent our resources.
All your resources were gone. You guys left everything on the table to get out of there.
I was 1 conviction, 0 willpower.
I had 2 willpower, but I actually gained a shitload of conviction at the end by
respiring.
Respiring.
Sucking it out of people's like bodies.
Yeah.
Hey. That's my girl.
Yeah.
What a trooper.
So moving
Hot
on.
girl shit.
The next one is for all of us. It's Why is Rob?
I like that you decided that was a for all of us.
I get to decide because I make the list.
Why is Rob, and you were like, I will put that under the for all category.
Yeah. I get to make that decision.
You're lucky.
Tim's the decider.
Yeah, that's a nickname I've had for a long time.
Well, you can have the first go at it, Rob.
I don't want the first go.
Okay, well, let's have Erika have the first go.
Yeah, Erika. He gave it up.
Fuck. I regret everything.
Hang on. Rob, you gotta make eyes with me, buddy.
Erika, this is an audio podcast. They don't know what you're doing.
No, but this is for me.
Meanwhile, Erika makes intense eye contact with Rob across the table, her glasses upturned, upside down against her nose, one finger tapping her lips while Rob sags unenthusiastically.
Erika, talk.
A theory that I have about why is Rob is...
This is a
Are
dissertation.
you getting real? Don't get real.
Too late. She's here.
No, we're
Glasses
here.
upside down.
You told me to talk, and I'm talking now, buddy. He has been on this planet exactly a year and a day without me in the world. And it messed him up. He has been nervously searching for my energy, and it just never left him. And what that did leave him with was an intense sense of creativity and intelligence and sense of humor and just a shitload of anxiety. But all of it combined to form this beautiful man that we all love and are happy to call our friends. Shut up and take it.
That was my least favorite part of what you just said.
I know. Shut up and take it.
No, the part before that. That part's normal.
Yeah, shut it. Why is Rob? Because he's Rob. Because he's awesome.
I think that's technically what is Rob, but good answer.
Yeah, it works either way.
Thank you. But yeah, he's our Rob, and we'll fight you about it.
Yeah, Rob.
Yeah,
Fuck.
yeah. Dissertation over.
In context of Brine and Blood, I can answer that question. Once a long time ago, I went to the Science Museum in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they had a, like, I don't know, shellacked, stuffed, whatever, octopus. And in order to get to the animal exhibits, you had to walk past it. And it terrified me to my bones. I really didn't like it. And that was the genesis of a phobia that has lasted to this day. And that is why I made an entire game to put you guys through about, hey, the ocean is bad.
I think it's called plastination.
Thank you. Hey, Lex, can't do that, buddy.
Press the button.
Anyways, this next one is for Rob. Did the players do anything you didn't expect at all?
Everything Erika did the entire game.
I don't know if that's true.
Every single thing that Erika did from the moment I said, Erika, it's your turn to talk and introduce your character until the show ended.
I feel like that's not entirely true. We know we spent 5 years playing with her at this point.
No, and yet,
If I can expect some of this, so can you.
Why is Rob surprised?
yeah, I mean, so I'm always surprised in like a pleasant way by what you guys do. There's little things where I'm like, ooh, why'd they do that? And then there's bigger things where I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I don't know why they did that, but this is the direction we're going now. But that's just like, I don't know, that's just storytelling in general. I can't, I'm struggling to think of like specific times where you guys like, other than all of Erika, that you guys like totally shocked me.
I don't think we did anything too out of pocket this way. We didn't have enough time to really get into our out of pocketness.
It was pretty like contained and stuff, and a lot of things that like would be swerves we talked about. You know what I mean? Like above the table. So it wasn't that it was unexpected. It was more like unexpected in the moment, but then we'd be like, okay, yeah, let's explore this. I think if we don't count all of Erika, I think the thing that surprised me the most. There's two things that surprised me, I guess. Or that I can remember being like, this makes total sense, but I don't know why I didn't see this coming. One was Tim being like, right, okay, so we have to prep for this hunt. I buy a house. That was one of them. I was like, what the fuck?
Part of my introduction.
Yeah, just being like, right. And then the other one was, it was actually Garrett punching Tran. Dallas punching Tran surprised me. So, like, I made Tran to be fucking hateable. I wanted him to be, like, that. So there's this fun thing that players do where, like, if a villain is evil, they're like, yeah, he's evil. But if a villain is, like, kind of a dick, they hate. Like, you can have an asshole and the devil incarnate, and every player will always go up to the devil incarnate and, like, lean in close and be like, man, you see that asshole over there? Fuck that guy.
The greatest sin in fiction is to be uninteresting rather than to be evil.
And what's not even, not just uninteresting, though. It's annoying. Like, players are looking at an annoying guy. So I made Tran to be fucking annoying. I guess I didn't expect it to escalate to be like, all right, this is the second scene. They have just finished, and Dallas lost it and punched him. In retrospect, knowing Dallas as a character and Garrett as a player and like who Tran was, like, it makes sense. I'm surprised at my own surprise, but escalating to violence did make me go like, oh, I have to think of a reaction to this now. Fuck.
No, you don't. We knocked him cold.
Yep. Cold
No reaction for you.
What were the other Hunter viewings like?
All right, so we saw Dallas's on screen. We explored some of the fallout of Todd's.
I can actually just, like, share mine, probably, if people want.
Can it be summarized?
Yeah, I can summarize. But is someone else ready to go? Because I can just find it.
I mean, Pheia and Todd talked about theirs on screen.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
I think everybody's got mentioned in some way or another.
I think the major parts of the details of mine that didn't come out is that I always imagined my imbuing like a serial killer rot, like one of the smart ones.
Yep.
And basically manifesting the 4C powers enough to see something coming and do something to kill the rot in the place of that. And that was basically how he started. Then he's also like, I do not want to be fighting these things up close and personal. So,
No, rots are fucked.
So, yeah, I imagine it like doing the contractor, and he like came in to look at this house, and this guy had all this plastic sheeting around, and didn't even think anything about it.
It's funny you say that because we didn't talk about it, but that is very similar to how, because you're a contractor, that is very similar to how I saw it. It's functionally like a low rent version of like an H.H. Holmes murder house.
Yeah.
And John walking in and being like, the messengers being like, hold the fuck on, dude. Look at the blueprints for this house. The hell is this guy doing?
This place is all fucked up, man.
Yeah.
So basically, Nat was in the library, and she notices that there's a sobbing in a dark study room. So she goes and she knocks, and there's this disheveled girl that's about the same age who's freaking the fuck out, and who admits that she's terrified of the dark. And so Nat sympathizes and basically is like turning on the light for her. And she realizes that this girl's like living out of the study room, and that sucks. So Nat has sympathy. She befriends this girl. She gets to know this girl. She starts realizing this girl has like a lot of mental health issues. So she communicates about it, and she's like, "Hey, you don't seem able to like differentiate like friendship from love, and like, yeah, there's a vibe here, but like you're not good for it." So they start off at this place of like, hey, like, maybe we don't do a relationship because maybe that's a really unhealthy idea. And then Sadie confesses, like, no, it's not really that, like, so yeah, I do have mental health issues, but I'm also a fucking cockroach. And shows Nat that, like, specifically, she's actually genuinely a Samsa. She's not making these things up. She's not having mental health issues. She is, but one of the mental health issues is being a fucking shifter. So they end up, like, tackling that together, and that ends up blooming into more of a romance, but that transformation point is effectively where Nat becomes an innocent.
Tim, I did, not to jump ahead on stuff, but I did see there was a question about, like, hey, is Sadie okay?
Yep.
And the answer to that is that depends on your definition of okay. So, is Sadie okay in a general sense?
No.
Absolutely not. So, not to put too fine a point on it, Samsa are corrupt as fuck. They are mockery breeds. They are Fomori. They are. So the old world of darkness is very funny because there is like this is evil and this is good. There are like very clear cut, like this is corrupt and bad and Pentex and this is good and Garu and whatever. And then there's shades within each of those. She's a mockery breed. She's fucking corrupt. And like spiritually poisoned and has a Fomor like all sorts of evil Pentex shit urging her to like be certain ways and corrupting her body and soul. The Samsa are a failed mockery breed according to Pentex, and they are all not just like like they are all paranoid and clinically insane. Like they are psychotic. There is no dialing back from it. There are levels to it, and they have like really interesting things to do with like the not corrupt spirit cockroach and the glasswalkers and all that kind of shit. So as a larger level, Sadie is trying her best. She's trying her best, but like
she's not okay.
She's a capital M monster, and she is not okay. Part of the reason that they are paranoid is Samsa are afraid of the dark because they actually hear Bane spirits whispering to them from the dark, urging them to do shit. It is very, very bad. In a more story immediate sense, I can answer Sadie is fine. When she was hacking for Nat and like looking into stuff, because that's one of the things that Samsa can do because of the gifts of cockroach. As soon as she hit EDF, that is touching the technocracy button. And as soon as like you're a hacker and you touch the technocracy button, it's going to set some alarms off.
Yep.
Basically, they had already broken up because Nat had been feeling more like she was a therapist than she was a girlfriend. Which is an unhealthy place to be, but it is definitely something that continues to plague their friendship after the relationship.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing about being like an innocent or a redeemer is I can sit here and say, like, the book says they're never redeemable. But, like, literally Innocents and Redeemers look at other Splat books and go, you want to fucking bet? And whether they are right or not is the story that Innocents and Redeemers tell.
Right.
So, like, that's the point of those characters. Absolutely.
I mean, I will say that, like, I definitely don't fully agree with the assessment of Nat as being more oriented towards Hunter or Monster. I'd say she's completely equal in that regard. But an important reason why I see it that way is the role of the innocent being to see whether someone is a person or a monster.
People are just saying toxic Yuri in the chat. And, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there you go. You got it. You get the
Good,
vibe.
represent.
You know what's up.
Tim's run away from that real fast.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide which one of these I want to do. So what creeds were each of you considered playing besides the ones you ended up picking?
I love Visionary, but I didn't want to play it because it was too similar to Britta.
I also liked Visionary. I also liked the idea of Hermit. I wasn't against Innocent. I was pretty open about any of them. I went with Redeemer because, I don't know, it felt the most interesting. It felt the most like, hey, I'm drawing my line in the sand here. And Sheila was a part of that. I liked the idea of Sheila from the Path of Night main series being like, okay, Johnny, you're sick, but because you're sick, you need blood. So here, feed on me. And we're not going to talk about this anymore.
Unless you need it again.
Unless you need it again. Because, all right, this ain't bad. You got them biceps. Pheia was a pretty far cry from Sheila in general, but...
Well, all of you, even within the creeds, you're all very different characters. Like, that was very clear to me.
I waited till everybody else had picked.
Classic Tim.
I know that I thought about playing Avenger or a Visionary towards the end. I also thought about playing a Judge until Garrett had picked it. Because I think at the point when I was actually looking at it, a few people had already locked into theirs to some degree. Yeah. Not that they wouldn't choose if I was feeling very adamant about something. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I did not want to go for Defender just because it felt too close to win.
Makes sense. Lex?
I think right up until the very end, I'd been talking to you about whether I wanted to play a Defender or an Avenger.
Yep.
And I'd kind of decided that it would have been the same imbuing story, but how the scuffle went would basically determine which creed I end up. And if my charge survives, I'm a Defender. And if I fail to save them and I am left just, picking up the pieces and trying to get them back for what they did, I'm an Avenger.
I know Garrett's not here, but I can answer for him because he and I had like a long talks, and for a long while. So I had sat down with him a long time ago in a Hunter game that we had played together. Garrett played a Hermit, actually played a Hermit, and had done all the static. And Hermits are really hard to play, specifically. But I'd seen him do it, and I was like, "Hey man, if you're interested in playing a Hermit again, here's how the story could go, and we could do that." And he was doing it basically up until the day of the first recording, and then came in and was like, "Actually, dude, what do you think about me playing a Judge? I know you asked me to play a Hermit," and I was like, I didn't. I'm more interested in you playing something you're really excited to play. And he was like, I kind of want to play a Judge. And that's kind of how that went. And that's why he was a Judge. And that's why Violin was the one to send the messages. Originally, it was going to be Dallas. It's really interesting to me because now looking back on the story, I can't imagine it without a Judge being the focus character. It just really worked out thematically. But yeah, that was what he was considering. I know that much.
Next one, and I don't necessarily know if I have an answer for this one. What NPC did you want to punch the most besides the Doctor?
Besides Tran.
Besides Tran.
If you don't count Tran.
I was thinking about it, and just because it's a conspiracy game, right? And we're playing it came down to the fact that if I didn't have to talk to an NPC, I wasn't going to. Because anytime you interact with them is a way to expose your identity. And I didn't want to expose my identity. Pheia.
It's not my fault that the way to activate one of my edges is by introducing myself.
It is. It literally is.
I don't think
to be
that's
fair,
true.
Incredible trigger.
Yep.
By the way, all of you had really good triggers for your edges. I know that's not what we're
Thank
talking
you.
about right now, but you all had fun triggers for your edges. Anyways, I'm sorry. What was the question? What are we doing?
Yeah, who do we want to punch besides Tran?
Oh,
And
right. Who do we want to punch?
I was
besides
explaining
Tran?
why I didn't
Yes.
have anyone else, really. So, yeah, anybody else wants to... I mean, I imagine that Todd has one. Though he did end up doing more than punching.
I mean, that can't count.
What, the guy you hit with a car?
Yeah.
That feels like a pretty punchable NPC.
That's a gimme.
By the way, I was so happy. I know that's not what we're talking about again, but I was so happy when you were like, I have a plan to deal with the demon. I'm like, oh yeah? Do tell, because I put you in a bind. And you're like, I'm going to hit him with a car just like you did with me. And I'm like, fucking rules. Yes. Awesome.
Yep, everyone's got a plan.
Until they get hit with a car.
Actually, Garrett and I had talked, and the wereshark that killed his best friend, or his friend, we had kind of agreed that if we caught him alone during that mission, we were going to put a silver bullet in his fucking head.
That is, I remember you guys talking about that. That's why you got all that silver.
Yeah, we were gonna straight up take his ass out for his fucking hatred for humanity.
Oh, no prayer, man. You're fucking awesome.
Yeah, we were just gonna like, oh hey bud, bang, and just tell the other hunters he didn't make it.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean, I remember you guys talking about that. That absolutely fucking makes sense.
I mean, he yelled "Go Yanks!" He had it coming.
To be fair, that was the other one, the one I'm forgetting her name right now. But
He didn't stop her.
fair enough.
I don't know if anyone else has anything to add to this particular list.
No, all my answers are dumb. They're things like Mateo would have deserved it, but not like in like a way of I actually want to hurt him, just he's being a bitch.
I mean, that's a fair choice to punch especially a wear shifter. Like it's, how much damage you really gonna
Stop
be
being
doing?
weird, nerd.
Basically, like if you want to stop pitting
Like
yourself,
following him across downtown, tell me why you're freaking out, weirdo, and you just end it with him just punching him in the mouth.
if you want to
That'd been
be
great.
that masturbatorily self-pitying, you might get punched.
He was having a hard fucking time.
He was.
Bro, he was a wereshark. He was
Yeah.
going through some shit.
For sure.
She can judge him anyways.
And getting
punch
punched
him.
in the face was going to be another.
Hey.
It sounds like.
You look stressed. You little bitch. How about I assault you?
Speaking the language of shifters, as far as I know.
Honestly, yeah.
But the whole point of Mateo is he didn't know what that meant. He didn't have shifter society. He was like, I'm a guy and I'm going through some
He
stuff.
still got rage, man.
He does still have rage. That is super true.
Saunders. I really would have. I don't think I would have hurt myself because of the jowls. But
Oh, Saunders, I fucking love. So I love running stories where there's like multiple factions out to fuck each other, and then like
Yeah.
the PCs are like in the middle of the chaos, right? Like
Yep.
whole chaos arcs. I love that
Yep.
shit. Because Saunders was originally conceived as the like touch point of one part of the whole fucking game. Like Saunders had a lot of shit going on. I love that character.
Yeah.
He's awful.
I would have punched Saunders. I would have punched Shears. I would have punched that octopus with the brand on his face.
Erika would have punched everyone. Old
Yeah.
lady, the 102-year-old lady, straight to the dome.
No, you stay away from Fanny.
She said something bad about you.
She's
Uppercuts.
probably right.
Just throwing
Her
hands.
head will come off.
It's not a good excuse. It sounds like Phea's out here. I was just like, I got
Every-
hands for everyone.
Every character has
not
that
Fanny.
one. Every character has that one NPC that you can bring on screen to be like, you need to look at your life and reconsider what's going on, and it will punch them. And Fanny was gonna be that for you in case we needed it.
Yeah. No, there were some things that needed punching, but
I love
this,
making punchable NPCs, man. I'll tell you.
but this was not a character that did a lot of punching.
No.
This was the character that sailed tall ships and
That being said, and it didn't make it to the outtakes because I think we stopped talking about it. At the end of the fucking game, if you count the people that were killed because of indirect actions, the Mercy Creeds killed so many more people than the Zeal Creeds.
Yeah.
If you count the people who died because they're like, we should bring a shark along, like, God, their body counts are huge.
We should have our other shark talk to the other ones and have them all show up and devastate this base.
yep. Yeah.
Moving on. Which future derangements did you envision for your characters? How do you think they'll end up once the hunt gets to them too much?
So you guys can talk about this a little bit, but I would either asterisk this answer with this may change or couch it with some maybes in case we ever do Hunter again.
I mean, I feel
And
like
you want
that's-
to play the same characters, because the nice part about Hunter is if you're like, actually, I want to bring up a fucking new guy.
I think that's true. I don't think anybody's going to hold us to our Q&A talk to what our characters
you
do.
met our
I am.
fans?
Yes, they will. So
I will. I will suplex them personally. Okay.
Yeah,
Sam,
Mineola
come fuck
just
down.
said I am.
What?
Mineola just said I am.
If I
Okay.
were a listener
suplex.
right now,
Gordon
I would
T.
volunteer.
Sarah Scholes
Yep.
in all caps said, "I will remember."
Yeah, we know you
They
will.
may be exactly who I was thinking of when I said, "Let's couch this language."
Look, she can remember. It's fine. It doesn't mean that we
They
have
are
to hold to
not
it.
reasonable people.
Damn.
No, that's what they just
It's
said.
a quote, yeah. No, it's just Erika straight up hating on fans. Like, they're not reasonable. They're monsters.
But to be fair, it's very much pot calling the kettle unreasonable.
Derangements.
Yeah, where mentally and or derangement-y like behaviors. We saw a little bit of it in the finale and leading up to the finale for some of you.
Yeah, some of it was small hints. I know my hint was pretty small. Nat, I would say, is one of the people who gained conviction maybe the slowest. But the derangement that I sent to Rob, I didn't pick one of the classic innocent derangements for a couple reasons. They didn't really feel like they fit Nat. And one of them that could have fit Nat was very amnesia heavy, so it just didn't feel like a good way to differentiate characters there.
Hey, man, you love playing a type?
I do, and I love amnesia as a trope, but no, I went with the derangement that I sent to Rob and slightly hinted towards was synesthesia.
Knew it.
So this is hinted towards in the
said
way
it. What do you
that
mean you knew it?
Nat sees lights and sees
say how she
colors,
knew.
and how Nat projects lights and projects colors. And part of why I chose that is the effect of being I see synesthesia as like empathetic and compassionate disorder overall. You tend to see characteristics deeper than maybe they are, or deeper than others see them as, depending on your perspective. And I think making those connections is something that very much Nat does, seeing an extra layer in life.
It is interesting, by the way, as an asterisk to the derangement talk, speaking as both a Malkavian player, as somebody who also does derangement shit for the World of Darkness through Hunter. Derangements are weird because they're like, here's mechanics, and we're going to give it a mental disorder name. And sometimes you have to look at the mechanics and be like, this fits what I want to go with. This doesn't seem right. It was written in the mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
So long as the vibes are right for the derangement, you can kind of go with it from there.
Yeah, and I felt like synesthesia was also something that I could respectfully and reasonably portray. It's something that I see myself in to some extent. I'm not by any means diagnosed, but certainly parts of it is something that resonates with my own perception and my own life experience.
Yeah.
Paranoia, possibly hallucinations.
Paranoia makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
To you.
Yeah.
It didn't come up in the Chronicle. I had picked another ability. I had picked Hide after my conviction rolled over. I was waiting for a point where it may or may not come up into the fact that I would definitely not want to be spotted. But it just played well into the character that I was developing. But yeah, hallucinations with a visionary is always
That's always a
always a
fun one.
bad time.
Yeah, for sure.
So I always think that's fun. That's for me. I don't know about ultimately, but that's where
That's kind of the direction you're
kind of
in.
the direction I would think.
Erika.
A few of you picked up on the fact that Pheia was starting to develop dissociative identity disorder. She was starting to develop a personality that was there to protect her from the hard choices she was having to make, the hard things she was having to see, the hard things she was having to do.
The Pheia that kills and the Pheia that doesn't.
The Pheia that hurts and the Pheia that keeps her from having to. Dissociative identity disorder gets a lot of bad press, and I didn't want to do it badly, so I'm kind of glad that I have a little more time to play with the idea of it rather than go full M. Night Shyamalan about it.
Jesus.
Right? And my plan for that was, as she went further along, to develop more and more personalities rather than more and more derangements.
Just worse than everything.
Yeah, basically just make her own mind her own battleground for attention and have her body doing things that she didn't always consent to.
Yep.
I think Todd's descent was a little more on the obvious side during the course of the game. And he was definitely starting to suffer from massive anxiety issues, paranoia, and there's this thing that defenders start to realize when the when the zeal gets too high. And it's that people's blissful ignorance of the supernatural world is what keeps them constantly stumbling into these dangerous situations. So defenders start to get a little weird and take on monster behaviors, and will go so far as to kind of push urban legends and frame monsters and do things in an attempt to make the local community more safe. And they feel very justified in doing that. And I think Todd was hitting the point where he was going to do bad things and scare people in hopes of making them afraid of, like, the things that go bump in the night.
Yeah. I don't know what Garrett's was, but I have to admit, so these all are extremely characterful and make sense, and I also feel deeply ashamed and like I did not do my job that none of you are considering thalassophobia.
The ocean ain't scary.
Well, that's incorrect, but
But it was because the ocean was scary that they couldn't run away from it.
Also, we got to shoot the oceans.
That's
Yeah.
true. You get to shoot the ocean.
Also, we released the guardian for the ocean
Yeah.
back into the ocean, so it's imminently less scary.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. The ocean actually is in a better place than when you left it.
Yeah, honestly,
Yay.
the ocean kind of owes us now.
Okay.
We'll collect from it. Don't
Listen
you
up,
worry.
C.
Hold
Yeah.
on. Just fail
Your
walking out
champions
into
weren't
the
the
beach and being
champions.
like, I'm late on rent. Help me.
And then it just rains clams full of pearls.
Okay. We're
Which
good.
would be fucking weird considering they come from oysters.
Well, it's the ocean. It's weird.
It's the ocean. It's fucking weird, man.
How on track was this season? Or the Vampire Saga, for that matter? GM scrambling and sweating to keep up with player choices? Or did you get to be Dark Lord with steeple fingers saying that all was going according to your evil design?
False dichotomy. I steeple my fingers and going, this is all according to plan, while inside I have a panic attack and rewrite everything every 5 minutes.
The exception there is me. The fingers never steeple
I
when I'm
can't,
around.
I can't pull it off, you know.
Uh-huh.
No, the answer is, so like I said, like this was going to be a different campaign, and then I rewrote almost all of it, and then we went from there. But it basically went in the direction I said. Like there were points at the beginning I was like, all right guys, I want you to portray different creeds. Now creeds, you know, a circle of hunters is different than a coterie. You're gonna have conflict. I want you to be able to like safely lean into that. You're gonna do this, but ultimately you need to be somebody who does the right thing, even if you fucking hate your coworkers. Like and you guys hit all the points really well. Mm-hmm. I think better than I have seen most tables be able to hit those points, particularly the conflict points and things like that. So I think you guys are great. As far as ST stuff, no, we generally went in the direction that I thought we were going to go, with some tangents, but I'm a tangent guy anyways, so that nothing crazy. I didn't have to do any more rewriting. Let me put it this way. I rewrote Asheville on the fly way more than I did Brine and Blood. We went basically where I thought we were going to go, more or less.
Yeah, and I think in our previous Q&A, Lex talked about some of the surprises that he didn't necessarily expect to happen. How do you think it would go if the hunters met the coterie or the hunters from the main campaign?
Oh, man.
So much making out.
Calm down.
You've been trying
Wynn
for
just
5
shows
years.
up and is like, you guys want to fuck in an alley? And Phea's like, yeah, okay. And
All right.
fucking Nat has to make a check
Yep.
against her flaw.
Which flaw are you talking about?
Lustful, dude.
It's just like, hi, I'm Pheia.
Phea's wearing a t-shirt that says, you kids want to fuck in an alley. And
And Wynn's like, oh god, did my child survive?
I think the other hunter group would have appreciated ours because a lot of us were more experienced and had less straight up deadly encounters early on than they did.
I feel like in the original Hunter group, I do feel like Sheila and Pheia would have gotten along. Mm-hmm. I feel like Jessica and John would have gotten along until the like age difference came up, and then John would have been like, ugh, I'm like functionally a dad role, and Jessica would have been like, teenage rebellion time, fuck you, old man. I'm trying to think of like the other.
Oh my god, Jessica would have had 2 dads in Todd and John.
Yeah, And then Johnny would have been
And then
there.
Johnny would have been there. So
And
she would have
then
had John,
She's
Johnny,
like-
and
It's a lot
like
of dads.
surrounded by dads.
yeah, just
I feel like Ramirez and Nat would be bringing food to each other's families' dinners.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so much garbage pizza.
And then, honestly, Dallas. Who do I think would Dallas go? Dallas would not have gotten along with Suarez. Suarez was
No.
They would not have gotten along at all.
Nope.
They would not have gotten along even a little bit.
Until there was only one.
Until she was dead, I actually think he would have gotten along with Crystal.
Yeah.
And actually, I feel like Todd and Suarez would have gotten along.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like,
yeah.
it,
I should have used his help for like a lot of this.
for like a lot of it. That was.
You know, he would have been
Possibly
a great
in the
asset.
future.
That would have been fun. As far as the fucking coterie is concerned, jeez, I don't know.
Could you imagine this hunter group with the coterie showing, like 5 vampires showing up outside their house?
Yeah, unlike
Just-
with Ramirez, they're showing up and being like, all right, everybody. Todd would have been like, everybody in the fucking van. No, we're leaving. We're not doing this.
I think like these questions are so affected by context. If
Yeah.
you have Nat and Pheia roll up on the coterie, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's a good conversation.
Yeah, hi, I'm Pheia.
But
Depends
like,
on the coterie, because I don't want to talk to you people.
well, but the problem is, I was about to go to, if the two Tim characters interact, this is going poorly. It doesn't have to go poorly at the beginning, but it will go poorly eventually.
That starts great, and then they start planning against each other immediately. I just
Miles beats John any day of the week, so it's
he
fine.
beats John any day of the week, but like,
Yeah, it's fair.
does he consider John most days of the week?
Depends on how much.
Yeah.
Miles is not beating John on my watch.
Hot.
So I had this fucking idea.
I will hit that demon with a fucking car too.
and
I really thought you were going to stop with, I'm going to hit that.
I don't know if we'll ever
No, you
fucking
hoped.
do it.
I
I don't
did.
know if we'll ever fucking do it. So I don't mind saying this idea out loud. I talked to Lex about it at one point. I was like, it would be fun for like a one shot, which for me probably means like a 6 shot. I don't know if we can, but like to do a one shot that was just set post campaign 1 in the like Fallen Masquerade world.
A one season.
And yeah, I know. And have it literally be like, hey guys, because like Neil's dead and I have Ira, I can play Ira, whatever. But like, pick a character you've played in the Path of Night canon, and they can show up in this game. We're gonna do a fucking cross campaign because I can't help myself.
Everyone's playing these like fated, destined ones and
Yeah,
like hyper powerful vampires.
It's
and I'm,
Okay.
I'm
in
Todd.
my head. In my head, I don't know.
I go here too.
I don't know who you guys would actually fucking play, obviously, but in my brain,
You can play your other John.
in my brain, it ends up being a campaign where it's like Jessica and Eden, and then Johnny and Wynn. I'm not saying these are what you guys would play, but in my head, it's Johnny and Wynn road trip with the girls, and then like Jessica on fucking HunterNet is like, I need help because I don't know. I probably wouldn't have Miles show up and kill them. That's a little different thing. But like, I don't know. Fucking Clan Tremere is like, I'm gonna get that bitch, and like shows up. Whatever.
Fucking usurpers.
And Jessica puts a fucking call out, and John and Todd show up for some fucking reason, and then obviously Britta shows back up, or fucking your Shadow Lord, or I don't know. The idea of the hunt, like, I don't know. It's just a very fucking goofy ass fucking.
I'm just going to throw
idea.
out there.
It doesn't make any fucking sense, but I still love it in my brain, and I keep trying to make it work, and it keeps not working.
It could be a
but-
drinking game at some point. I'm just going to throw out there that I did, for the 6 hours of Johnny as Seneschal cut, I did do the voice for Aisha.
You did do the voice for Aisha,
So
and
I
she
feel
is
like
still technically alive.
I could
Does
just
that
jump
count?
in as
I'm-
Aisha.
Hey man, that's up to Lex. That's his half the world. I don't know.
That's his half of the
I
world.
don't know. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying.
I'll show up as Dougie.
I was like, Jacob's got some
If
serious
someone else
damage.
runs it.
There you go. What's up,
Well, what's the
Jacob?
other half of it? Like, that's like
This
if you guys can
sounds-
play fucking werewolves to show up. Garrett might want to play fucking Silverfang instead of John. I don't know.
This also just sounds like a cheese fest.
Yeah.
Well, it would. That would be the tone, dude. Like,
And I'm Todd.
that's the funniest part of it to me.
And then it's just-
is if I run it, you basically have to play Todd, and that's the funniest part
But
of it
then
to me.
at the very end, after
I
everything's
have
happened,
powers sometimes too.
Todd just shows up and hits the survivor with his car.
That being said, Todd is the reason the whole party's not fucking dead from the like down in the thing.
Oh,
So, like-
by Hunter standards, Todd is a badass.
Oh, I know the power.
But
I
know
know
what
the
I'm saying.
differential. I do know
Yeah.
what you're saying. Yes. I don't know,
These
man.
motherfuckers take extra actions.
If any,
Yeah, it's very funny to
if
me.
anyone's drinking for when we get off track, I mean, I hope you're
To
still
be
alive.
fair, at this stage of the
Go drink
game,
some water.
spoilers for campaign 1, I also only have one character in the Path of Night canon.
Did we even say spoilers for this campaign?
It's the Q&A wrap-up. I hope people know.
If not, it's their problem.
It's a weird starting place.
I'm going to go straight to a Rebecca question.
Yeah.
Is Nat or Nat's family from a specific region of India?
The technical answer is no. I did not specifically for this podcast pick a region. I did think about the regions and what that would mean. The reason that I didn't specifically pick a reason is that India is a huge subcontinent and the regions are very different from each other, and I would want to be more educated on the differences between multiple regions if I wanted that to be a forward and front part of the character. But that being said, there are specific regions that I would lean towards. If I were to pick right now, I think the Gujarati region could be a good choice for part of Nat's family, and I think the Bengali region could also be a good choice for another part of Nat's family. Some of the reasons that I would be looking at different regions. There's a lot of backstory with Nat's family that never came on screen. Nat's family has some sad stories that fuel the way that they operate in the world. Keeping that quick for a moment, I would be looking for regions that historically have a lot of money, have a lot of immigration, and have certain features. Because another element of me designing Nat in that way was the people in my real life as Rebecca that I could talk to. One of the people that I could talk to check in with and say hey, I want to run this character. I want to run this character very respectfully. A lot of the questions that I would ask this particular person, a family member, they're her answers. Not being vegetarian. That's something that was very important to the person that I was talking to. That if I were to play a character with a Hindi background, that the character be vegetarian in the Hindi way. So a lot of the answers kind of boil down to probably in reality, the region that Nat is from is probably the region of the person that I'm talking to. But if I were to go more deeply into that as a concept for the podcast, those are some of the regions that I considered.
Dope.
Thank you.
I mean, and that sort of goes into what we were talking about earlier too, right? With the what details are important for the story, the limited story time we're telling versus moving forward.
I'll try to do this as quickly as possible. In Nat's backstory, there was basically a lot of trauma within the family. There was some drug use that changed how the family operated, and certain people were eventually, things couldn't hold up, relationships couldn't hold up, and that was something that I was bringing into the character to have a strong root of why the family behaved in the way that they do. And with that, I was looking at actual issues and actual regions and which places are plagued by which epidemics. Yeah, I feel having that as a background, even though, in an ideal world, I would have loved to delve into that a little bit and give names to some of the events that are in Nat's past that make her and her family who they are. I do think that for efficient storytelling, having Nat's mom be that speaker, mouthpiece, there we go, that's what I'm looking for, really does help condense that. And it does kind of save me as a player trying to be responsible about how I want to play a character from having to be too specific. Because while being specific is great, it's part of being well-researched, it's part of being compassionate, sometimes being overly specific can pull you away from the narrative that you're trying to tell, and it can be easier and sometimes more respectful if you're able to talk in generalities. That's something that you kind of have to learn to approach and roll with as you tell stories.
Do we want to take a second to talk about the accidental part of Nat's story?
yeah, I'm down for that.
Cool.
So
This is a tangent. Drink.
oh god, okay, hang on.
Freshen it up.
No. It's related. It's related to where she's from in the world. It
I
is a
made my
related
decision.
question. It doesn't count.
I made my decision.
I've taken my drink. So Rob has mentioned how this game was originally supposed to be a hunter game, a Pentex game, and a Rokia game. And with that being the setup, all those characters were going to be very different people. And Nat wasn't who she was. And a lot of the Pentex character got rolled in, I didn't choose her being Indian because of the events in 1999. I specifically was like, I think I could do a good job with an Indian character. I have people in my real life that I can have as references for that character. I think, like, I feel that that's something that I can research and portray compassionately and thoughtfully. And I know that throughout our overall story, I'm super proud that we have a whole range of characters from different places and in different situations. But in the overall story, we don't have a lot of Asian characters overall. So I was like, oh, cool, like South Asian. I think that's like really cool to bring into the story. I hope that we continue to have a variety of characters and voices.
We'd also talked about this at one point. Like, sometimes a character just kind of is who they are, and you don't have a choice in the matter. Like,
Yeah.
you're writing
Yeah.
a character, and they're just like, no, this is who this character is.
Yeah.
I don't know why. They just,
Yeah.
like, I cannot picture them any other
Yeah,
way.
Pheia
So
from
let's
the-
go from there.
Pheia from the beginning was bisexual, and she told me that right away.
Like, full-on 90s bisexual,
Yeah, full on
too. It was
90s
like,
bisexual.
But basically, like, as I was making that who she was, it became very apparent to me that she was probably an Asian character, and for what reason. I got deeper into that, and I got deeper into what that would mean for certain family dynamics. And then I realized that it's 1999, and that means something. And Rob and I had several, sometimes even, like, tense conversations about it, because for me personally, I'm
yeah,
coming
you were
from...
mean to me. No, I don't know.
And he
deserve it.
liked it.
Yeah, oh,
No, please
you're
continue.
welcome.
I'm sorry, please continue.
Because, like, you know, I've got some hard lines on how to responsibly roleplay family trauma for where I'm coming from. I think that, like, ultimately I'm super proud that we got to tie that part of the apocalypse in Gehenna into Nat's story. I think that that's, like, very cool and very tied into the mainline story and, like, Path of Night. And I'm an idiot, and I just did not make that choice on purpose. I'm not Rob. I'm not here to lick your tears up. I just thought she was an Indian character.
Yeah, and you're the idiot for not thinking about that. Unrelated, I conceived this, and so like I had a lot of media references for like what was sort of informing this, and obviously like fucking the finale, it was just all Resident Evil and shit. And one of the early things in my head was the movie Jaws. This year is the 50th anniversary of Jaws. I watched Jaws at the drive-in not that long ago. It's very fun. And the whole, like, we're going to keep the beaches open, blah, blah, blah. Like, that shit tied into the real world things that were going on in that area and in the bay and everything. I had the whole, like, well, obviously this is going to be set in, like, June leading up to July 4th, right? Like, end of May through June, that's what it's going to be. And there's nothing else going on in the World of Darkness. Unrelated, Lex, let's make this a canon part of World of Darkness. What do you think, man? Like, our Path of Night's World of Darkness. What do you think? Is that cool? And then we'll do this. That'll be cool.
This is something that has a
Unrelated to either fucking thing. I'm like, it's going to be set in this time period, and I'm going to make it canon to Path of Night. What was happening in that time period? Oh, no. I have to incorporate that now, don't I?
It is something that historically happens to me as a player. I do seem to accidentally gravitate towards that sort of thing. And it does seem to really help. I like what that did for the story.
I'm very happy. So, like,
Yeah.
truly some of my favorite story moments are when someone, like, kneecaps me with the unexpected. And I'm like, well, fuck, we got to pivot. And I think some cool shit happens out of that. But to your credit and the table's credit, I feel like the ability to incorporate that stuff and not have it be contrived to, at least to me, in the outcome. And you're right, it did. We had a lot of conversations about, like, how we were going to, like, fuck, we got this thing dropped in our lap. How are we going to, like, that we did not intend? How are we going to approach that? Because we have to address it. It would be fucking weird if we didn't.
So weird.
Like, oh, hey, by the way, your family got nuked. It's not important to your character, though.
It's
but
fine.
also, that part of the story, not important to the Path of Night story that we were telling, like the Brine and Blood story that we were telling. How do we, at the time when it was conceived, how do we square that circle? So I do think it came out really good in the end.
I think it tied the stories together.
And I think it worked out.
Yeah.
Lex, this one's for you.
Oh, yeah.
Lex, your character is one of the more experienced imbued in the circle. Can you tell us more about Todd's past, particularly his dealings with other imbued? He had a fraternity supporting him, trained with other hunters, knew a bystander that was never on screen but was referenced, and was very scared of Waywards, suggesting either a previous encounter with one or he had just heard harrowing stories of Waywards.
I had decided a few things about Todd that would basically color what it meant for him to be an experienced hunter. And I kind of envisioned him as being someone who did something brave during his imbuing, didn't know what to do, but knew how to research, found HunterNet, found a group of individuals that he would have thought were like-minded, and would have kind of slipped down this hole of kind of like, very pro-gun, pro-kill all monsters, we must create a utopia kind of scenario. And I think part of the reason that he really gravitates towards John and chooses to trust John when he feels like he can't trust himself is because during that time, it's very common for waywards who are supposed to be the chiefs among hunters to kind of gather aggressive, zeal-oriented characters around them and basically weaponize them and commit acts of violence. Mm-hmm. And Todd had kind of been swept up in that, and in my headcanon, someone like John, who is kind of more calm and really just kind of wanted to figure things out before making big decisions, became Todd's way of getting out of that. So Todd took all of this incredible training, and he's a very skilled hunter, and tactically he's like very intelligent, very, very capable, but I don't know that he entirely trusts his own moral compass when it comes to dealing with monsters, so he really turned to John and kind of put his faith in him.
You and I talked about that a couple of times, both specifically the backstory of where Todd's experience and where he came from, but also there were multiple times in the show where people would be like, all right, Todd, what do we do? And you'd be like, ask John. I'm going to listen to John. I'm following John. And that, to me, and like I knew the backstory, but to me that very much came across as that, like, especially the people like, stay away from the maniacs and like, stay away from the warlords and do like the whole like something bad happened in Todd's past. Then he met John. Now he asks for John's opinion. Was like very
because it was like, yes, if you ask Todd, Todd can easily put together a plan to go in there, kill everyone, clean it up, and get out of there. But he was clearly trying to be a different person, and did not at all think that these imbued that he was now just introduced to really wanted to adapt that kind of approach to the hunt. So he told them to do what he does. Turn to John.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I wasn't privy to any of this.
No, we like specifically didn't talk to you about that part because like
I don't know if Todd would have clearly explained all of that to John. But John would know that that Todd super trusts him and has his back very, very faithfully.
Related, one of my favorite scenes of the entire fucking show is when Todd shows up like a deranged madman covered in blood and is like, I fucking did it, John. I killed the demon. You said go. And is like, I gotta turn myself in. This story's over. And then you, Tim, pulled him onto the fucking beach in like the third to last episode or whatever. I was like, hey, dude, you need to chill out. We can think about how to handle this. I can't do this without you. Like, I fucking... perfect, like, send-off scene. Very well done on your behalf, specifically, Tim.
So from John's perspective...
yeah!
He's gonna fucking die if he doesn't have Todd around. And he has to do whatever he needs to keep Todd around.
That's so funny.
He generally enjoys Todd, but he can get a little defensive. But John knows that he will die, but he wants to know things, and he doesn't want to die. So there's a real problem here.
Todd being like, I need John to keep me level, and Todd being like, or John being like, cool, man, yeah, just make sure I don't get ripped apart. So
yeah, sure, man, whatever. Just keep me calm.
Which is, that was kind of how it was. So I'm like,
fuck, I love that.
He cannot go to jail. Him being in jail does not help me at all. So we need to make sure that he knows that he can't go to jail.
But speaking of which, by the way, and unrelated, so as of recording, we have 32 different fan fictions on AO3, which is fucking awesome and like crazy cool.
That being said, do better.
Erika, you do better. I just want to specifically in this dynamic, and that you saying that he can't go to jail in the chat. Just use your username. Mignola wrote a fucking fanfiction that was, yeah. What if Todd followed through with his plan and went to jail, and what happens to John after that? And it was fucking. Sometimes you read stuff and you're like, yeah, no, that's 100% what would happen. Yeah, no, that's just fucking real. And that was one of them, and that fucking rules.
People like to torture the characters I play.
Yeah, dude.
Oh no, Tim. I'm so sorry. People think the characters you play are sexy.
No, Tim's suffering.
Pouring out for Tim.
His characters are always the ones who are in the fix. He's having such a hard time.
Do people think your characters are motivating, interesting, and they want to put them in romantic situations?
Oh, that sucks, dude. I'm so sorry.
Romantic situations. What happens in this story?
I accept all of your apologies.
No, he gets murdered and you have to watch.
Yeah, I know about that, but I didn't know there was like romance.
Do you not know that like Todd John is a popular? You know what? We can talk about this later. That's fine.
Everyone, take your drinks.
You make characters that belong in the salad spinner, says Bites the Cables.
More RP.
May.
Garth the Shoals knows that Todd John is popular even amongst Rokan. All right, anyways.
How do you rank your enjoyment of Hunter the Reckoning versus other splats? I can start off with this one. It depends on the story, and I guess that's a cop-out answer to some degree. I generally like Hunter the Reckoning in terms of like comic book levels as street-level stories a lot more. Dealing with like a vampire, a werewolf.
Yeah, sorry, man. I went a little over the top with this one.
It's a different story. So, like, that is generally where I prefer Hunter the Reckoning, where the opposite is true for Werewolf, where I'm like, yes, let's take on this army.
Fun fact, despite the fucking story I just told, that is also my preferred level of Hunter, is like small street level bullshit. But I just love fucking Plimpton Tide, so I had to do it. Compared to other splats, I fucking love Hunter. Hunter, for a long, so I'm a Chronicles kid, like a New World of Darkness guy. That's my shit. When it came before Path of Night, literally the only Old World of Darkness, like classic World of Darkness splat that I enjoyed was Hunter the Reckoning. I did not like Vampire. I did not like Werewolf. I'm not a Changeling guy. I don't like Mage. Like, emphasis on was my feeling. And yet, despite not really being a World of Darkness guy, I fucking loved Hunter. Hunter the Reckoning is absolutely my jam. Which is probably obvious. I just ran a fucking Hunter the Reckoning game. But, like, there are aspects to it and themes and, like, street-level horror and, like, being human and the inevitability of failure. Because there is no good end for a hunter. If you are imbued, there's no good ending to your story. Ever. Period. You either die violently or get hollowed out and become a thing of the hunt, or like get locked away, or like you can't quit. It's bad. And obviously I love sad tragic shit. So I love Hunter the Reckoning.
Rebecca?
I don't think I would have fun with Hunter if I was not playing either a Mercy or Visionary Creed. I think there's a world where I could make a character. Like, I always think there's a world that I can make a character. But I think for me, the thing that I love about Hunter is being able to come at it from the angle of like an innocent or a redeemer or someone who sees more in the world. Because that's kind of the heart of where I get my enjoyment of Hunter, is asking those questions of like, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be sapient? Like, is humanity a virtue? All those like deep questions. That's like what I like about Hunter. And I feel like Rob is a really good Hunter SC, and he tends to like really balance these stories of sometimes there's just straight up monsters, and sometimes there's monsters that are people, and sometimes the monsters that are people are also monsters. And having that ability to navigate is a lot of fun in Hunter. I don't know if that's really like a true comparison of like how I feel about Hunter in comparison to other splats. I like splats. Like, I generally am down and interested. I think it's fair to say that, like, I tend to really enjoy the Shadowlands, Orpheus. I tend to also be very interested in Changeling. I do like Shifter. Honestly, I haven't really run into many splats that I've been like, I don't get it. And even when I do run into splats where I'm like, I don't get it, usually I get it by the time someone else has explained to me why they love it. If they have something I can latch onto, I'm down to. But yeah, I mean, I like Hunter. I like being able to pursue those questions. I like Mercy Creed Hunter. And Visionary too, because that has its own edges.
Well, that's the fucking balance. And I to sort of jump off of that and clarify my position on Hunter a little bit. I love Hunter when it is done a particular way, in a very similar way to I love Malkavians when they're done a particular way. I also admit and or feel that Hunter done badly pisses me off more than almost any other genre. Partly because I care about it so much, but like Hunter. There's a really bad habit of people like looking at Hunter and looking at the edges and being like, this whole thing is about burning vampires and they're bad and I'm good and like, fuck you. And it does that viewpoint invalidates Mercy Creeds. It invalidates Visionary Creeds. And it is literally just about like, the point of this game is to shoot a vampire in the face.
Yeah, I'm never going to want to play just straight up shoot 'em up.
No, there should be room for both, right? Yeah. You need to have both in a good Hunter game. And this one got, as we hit the climax, we didn't do it, but earlier on I tried to hit it a little bit more. I truly feel like a good Hunter game has at least 30% sad real-world consequences. Mm-hmm. And, like, going to your job and or Pheia losing your job, dealing with, like, I keep sneaking out at night. My wife thinks I'm cheating on her. I can't tell her I'm killing ghosts. Yeah. Like, that's Hunter to me.
Yeah.
I know we went over the top in Brine and Blood. I know I did. But, like, that is what good Hunter is to me. And when Hunter is good, it's great. And when Hunter is bad, it's terrible.
Mm-hmm. Erika.
What?
You're trying to answer the question.
It's not my favorite. I don't think it'll ever be my favorite, but I enjoy it. I mean, I like the idea of human with a hat on. I like the idea of human but charged with a cosmic duty. And that's essentially what Hunter is. I like the idea of functionally, which pill are you going to take? Are you going to walk this path and help save the world, or are you going to go back to this life of complete ignorance and do nothing about it? That's a really cool story. That being said, I don't know if I've ever told anybody any of this before. I love Changeling.
What? That doesn't sound right.
What? And as I play it more and I'm playing it with better players who actually know what they're doing and STs who know what they're doing, I enjoy Mage too. I like games where you can say, okay, but what if I did this? Because it matches my particular flavor of chaos playing well. And I'm finding that I can do that in more and more games. There's more seatbelts in that one. They don't let me ride in the bed of the truck for those ones. But yeah, no, I had not experienced a good Hunter game until Rob ran one. I had experienced a bad Hunter game where people were just trait stacking and, just trying to basically play vampire, but as hunters.
If the first thing that somebody tells me about when they talk about Hunter is a rank 5 edge, I immediately know they do not understand Hunter.
Right. But also because Hunter is equal parts you need to talk to other hunters and equal parts you probably don't want to talk to other hunters. It's very hard to play as a group game.
It is a very weird vibe. You need the right table.
Yeah.
That's honestly half the reason I wanted to run this as Hunter is because, like, I was like, aha, I have a good table. Fuck you guys,
right.
We're running Hunter.
Yeah. And honestly, it was a good time to do that.
I'm holding you hostage.
Yeah, that's what happened.
You know what? Let's just go ahead and hostage situation this then, buddy. Let's ransom Red Chief this.
Lex, round us out.
I actually super like Hunter. It's one of my favorites. And the reason for it is because a lot of settings you can play in the World of Darkness will claim to be a horror game, but they are a specific type of horror game every time. There's always a huge element of power fantasy. And while kind of flipping through Hunter the Reckoning, you might think that this is another one of those situations where you're actually playing this incredibly powerful thing. you're not. And there is kind of a bit of fun to exploring this fragile existence in a setting where, like, you know, there are monsters. And, you know, I knew what a Brujah was years before Hunter the Reckoning even came out. But a Brujah is really different when you think about it from the perspective of being one of the imbued.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just a really fun way to recontextualize a lot of a world that I already knew.
You paid nod to that specifically in the first fucking campaign, where like the boss fight for the hunters for until like the Week of Nightmare shit was Weathers. Like our whole coterie was like, we don't know what to do, and then they were telling horror stories about how Weathers rolled the fuck through and like obliterated their defense. And, like, yeah,
It's just kind of. It's fun. I really appreciate it. Also, the meta plot that isn't even in the core book.
it sure isn't.
Is really cool to me because it ties in a whole lot of the World of Darkness. And Hunter the Reckoning, though it doesn't look like it, is extremely important to the like metaphysics of the World of Darkness. I like that.
I love it so much. That be to jump real quick off of your like, you might not think that this is what this game is about, but it is actually much more like fragile and chill. The art direction in the core book is so like, it's neat and very 90s, but so misrepresentative of what the game is.
The old man with the spoon through a BSD saving his wife.
Yeah, it's all like shotguns and
that's-
fucking like axes slaying zombie hordes, and you're like, dude, one rot just tore apart half our circle. Like.
Is there anything about your characters you want to share that you didn't get the chance to on the podcast? Start with Erika. She's part sheep.
Yeah, she's part sheep. Pheia.
I said no to that.
Rob, it does not matter what you tell me.
You can't be part she and imbued. That's the whole thing. And, sorry,
I said sheep. Sheep.
Oh,
Yeah.
sheep?
Yeah, I said sheep.
Oh, yeah, no, that's true. Sorry, I misheard you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's fine. You just weren't listening. It's fine.
Like normal.
Yeah, I get it. Pheia hinted at this a bit with Dallas, but when she was getting ready to go to college, her dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and wound up succumbing to it and refused to touch her college savings to pay for his treatments. She was not legally old enough to get into the accounts, so could not defy his orders. And then when he passed, a few days after he passed, she found that her mom had died of a heart attack. Pheia was suddenly left very much alone in the world, and she had just started a new job at this maritime museum. That was what she had left in the world. And she started selling off what she could, because all she had left in the world was that college fund. And so she went and she got what she could out of it. She got a shitload out of it. But then there was nothing left except the medical debt from her dad's treatments. And so part of the reason she was not thriving financially was, in fact, because they were docking her paycheck to help pay for it. And part of the reason that she was so into holistic medicine was because she was worried that at any point she might not be able to afford her own medication due to the fact that she was paying for medical treatments for a dead man.
Yeah. Pheia, so you and I, Erika, had talked. So, like I said earlier, like a lot of, I feel like at least 30% of Hunter, more frankly, if we have the time for it and the space for it, is like mundane dealing with life problems. And you and I had talked a lot, and I feel like Pheia's story had really helped to highlight. So obviously, like with Pentex and Endron and all that, this was a story of like, part of this story was a story of capitalist horror, right? Like that's just what's going on. And I feel like on a very real level, Pheia helped to really showcase like, I don't know, the bleakness of the World of Darkness and also the real world sometimes. And it was fucking great. Like,
Yep, and then there was a moment where we got close to bringing all of that up when Dallas was just like, you can just run away from all that shit. They have to find you first.
Well, which is funny because, like, I know Garrett and I, but like that was Dallas's story.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas's story was like he had done that. He also had no life and no real friends.
Right. And Pheia had probably considered the fact that if I just run away and just dip on all of this, they probably won't find me. But at the same time, these people let me couch surf while...
You can absolutely do it Dallas's
So-
way. You lose your entire support network and are totally alone.
Yep. And I thought it was a nice juxtaposition between two aspects of the World of Darkness when Dallas and Pheia were having that discussion.
It was great.
You know, it's easier to get bankruptcies done in like the 90s, right?
Tim,
Do you think
they
she knew that
don't
when she
know
was
that,
17?
though.
So you had
Like,
all those friends, and all
Pheia
those old
does-
people that none of them were lawyers, apparently.
Literally none of them were. That's how
Literally
she
none of
described
them.
I have a list of people
yeah.
that Erika
Fucking
would go
shit.
into the
Yeah.
the Google document
Yeah.
for and keep changing the
I
H's
think
on.
up until some
Yeah.
point in the 90s, you could even
Yeah.
discharge your student loans out of the bankruptcies.
She probably did that, but she probably had financial aid help her with that. But
Also, this is the World of Darkness. Like,
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
is worse.
also,
Or rather,
it was probably
everything is supposed to
Endron
be
who was
worse.
who was tracking her down.
No, it was probably some subsidiary of the Bradford Group.
It was definitely Sally Mae.
Yeah.
The real criminals. How about you, Rebecca?
I mean, there's certainly parts of the character that, like I said, could have been cool if they got to screen. But I think that, like, a lot of those thoughts ultimately have to do with the World of Darkness as a whole. Like I mentioned, in the past, Nat's family went through quite a lot. They were, at some point, a family with quite traditional values. And then things went really wrong. And Nat's mom made it through. She made it through a bunch of difficulties, but Nat's aunt didn't. And that character in the backstory, who never popped up in the story, is Apurva, who is someone who tried to cope and eventually fell to addiction. And Nat is someone coming into this story knowing exactly what it means for someone who should love you, not to love you, not in the way that you deserve. She knows exactly what it means to have to cut someone out of your life, for them to cut you out of their life, and what it's like for a stranger to wear a familiar face. And, you know, like, that's part of Nat as an innocent, not knowing what kind of became of that family member, that hope that one day she could find recovery, that knowledge that you can't depend on it, that you can never depend on it, that you just have to keep it pushing and move on. And, you know, Nat's lucky. It made the rest of her family pull together, and it made the rest of her family change what their expectations were of each other. I mean, makes Nat pretty lucky on how her family receives her sexuality, especially in the context of the character, which is also a huge part of how Nat sees the world. The World of Darkness is not a friendly or understanding place to a character that doesn't make men central in their story. The World of Darkness, purposefully, it's a horror setting, expects that men are central in even female character stories. So playing a queer character has different consequences, cool consequences, consequences that matter. But specifically choosing to play like a lesbian going through that. I don't know, that's something that I had a lot of thoughts about, something that mattered very deeply to me. And it's something that I feel like, obviously it showed up in the story and got to express my attractions pretty readily.
That was attracted to women? This is the first time hearing about it.
You don't always get the opportunity in a story to
Yeah, me
delve
too.
into exactly what a character's flirtation and dating life might be like.
Mm-hmm.
But getting to play a character that experiences the world in ways that are queer to the normative standards, I think it's a huge part of who Nat is and her story. I hope it came through. I hope the parts that didn't reach the final cut influenced who she was and how she acted and how she received other people's choices and other people's paths in life and how she chose to approach it.
I will say, sidebar, everybody drink. Just so this isn't all completely downers, when Rebecca and I were building our characters, she was like, what are your ideas for Hunter? And I'm just like, I think I'm going to do a redeemer, but like a bisexual disaster redeemer. And she looks at me with just this sudden stricken look, and she's like, I'm going to be a lesbian innocent.
Rebecca halfway through putting the lustful flaw on her sheet, be like, "I'm sorry, what are you gonna be?
And-
What's your deal?" What's
And
your-
we
Awesome.
both just have the same idea at the same time. Like, we're going to hit on each other, right?
We have no choice. We must make out.
Like, we're going to have to make out, right? And I'm like, obviously, we're going to have to make out,
You guys
Rebecca.
coming up and be like, "Rob, so we're gonna make out." I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." Like,
Earlier in the chat, they did ask for the missing scene between us, so just keep that
no,
in
that's
mind
for
you.
fanfic of that, and that's up to them to make. Oh God.
Yep, hate it. Anyways, Lex.
Lex, what Todd stuff did you want to talk
Yeah,
about?
I mean,
I don't care about the rest of the context of the conversation. It's the mouth noises. That's what I'm.
You played...
You make mouth
You
noises at me
played
every
Saunders.
single
I
recording.
did play Saunders, yes.
We had
and
a-
he was awful.
We played a full, 5 to 10 minutes of you getting the mouth noises right.
Different tangent, another drink.
Yep. Hit it.
Go ahead, Lex.
So, I think I actually pretty much got to cover all of the main bases that I wanted to for the character arc. I think if I was to add anything, I would have liked to kill one of the squid monsters with my dog. I vaguely got to reference Rufus, but I really wanted a defender and his best friend, not John,
His best canine friend.
yeah, kicking the shit out of some stupid squid monster.
But
I mean, honestly, I don't. If it happened, it would have been kind of a weird segue. So I'm not actually oh shucks, I didn't get to.
I
do the
assume
thing,
that's
but,
kind of what happened if you went to go check on Teddy and his family.
Yeah, it's kind of I figure there was a reason that when I would check on them, I'd specifically be walking my dog,
Yeah.
just in case they want to
yeah.
square up.
Want to go to battle? No, other than what we were talking about, my imbuing with John, I think the only thing that I would borrow again from my previous visionary is the fact that at some point or another, he'd probably start getting into weird experiments.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what kind of experiments, buddy?
Dark shit.
Yeah, what kind of
Probably
experiments,
capturing
buddy?
and holding monsters and seeing what the hell works on them and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. No parallels
now what
to
you're
a
hoping
villain
for.
towards the end of the game.
So, you'd make out with them, right?
Yeah, like capture a
different uses
whale,
of the word
put
experiment.
electrodes in its brain,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
there's
that
some
kind of
overlap.
thing.
Depends on how many people the whale killed.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, justify it more.
I will.
I know, it's a good hunter, man. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, John, figure out what makes them tick.
I'm legitimately proud of you.
More explosives.
Speaking of John, man, let's just look at the chat right now. What about John's side job working with the Black Cat electricians and paranormal investigators?
I'm sure they subcontract with him.
So I really, at some Halloween, I really want to run Ghost Pursuers, but what if they're real in the world of darkness? And I will absolutely have them be one of your electrical subcontractors.
Oh, Samantha will jump
Make
right back
Tim's
out at
character subcontract his own character.
I mean, we could do that down the line because they were always talking about Miles getting John to do contracting work for him.
Yeah, Rob is just teasing all of his future Halloween
I
ideas.
will run a Halloween one-shot where both John and Miles are referenced to Cliff. I promise this.
We're gonna flash back a little bit to where Rob can't tell me what to do, where Rob said, I don't want you to play a cryptid hunter for this thing. And I'm like, so I'm gonna play a cryptid
That's
hunter.
not what I said. I said specifically, please play someone who believes in ghosts. This is a ghost hunting show. And Erika showed up and was like, so my family hunts squatches.
Pretty much exactly that.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a squatch hunter. My name's Samantha Pratt. Oh, cheese
You know
and
we ran that
crackers.
game 4 years ago?
I know.
5 years
But
ago?
we're running
She
these questions
haunts
right now.
me.
Next one is pretty much me. Can we see the character sheets once I get my hands on a scanner again?
We
Once
can
we
just
get,
take pictures of them.
yeah, they don't look as.
They
good
don't
as
look
part
as
of it.
good.
Yeah, if I can actually scan them to PDF, that's the big deal. So
Okay.
it will happen at some point.
I'll check my.
That would also be helpful in case we ever do a season 2, because we gonna lose these sheets.
Yeah, well, I mean, right now they all kind of sit here, and I have folders. We can start doing that.
Yeah, I
but-
got Irish sheet right here.
I have this whole file folder thing.
And by Irish sheet, I mean a piece of yellow notepad paper.
of
I
course.
I have this whole thing with like tabs in it where I keep everyone's sheets.
Cool for you, man, but I don't know what that means.
Color-coded.
It's color coded.
I have a bunch of papers scattered around my station.
It's so fucking gay. Give me your stuff and
I'm
I'll put it
actually
in. And
right now. Oh shit, where's okay? There's
it
Rollins.
can be gay with me.
We're gonna do that for
Anyways.
fucking.
Anyways,
sorry.
Tim.
Good job,
Moving
Tim.
on. What is your current audio recording setup?
Great.
Did it change between Campaign 1, Brine and Blood, and now War of Ages?
So it changed between season 1 and season 2 of campaign 1.
Yeah.
And then it's mostly been the same since then, with like some minor upgrades and stuff.
Yeah.
We put on like the guards.
We got pop filters
yeah.
and that kind of stuff now.
We constantly change out chords
Yeah.
because chords. If you ever do a project similar to this, one of the things that you have to keep the most eye on are your chords. They are very prone to damage. They're prone to damp. Chords are something that you need to have like a budget for. Not that they're expensive, they're cheap, but you do have to be ready to keep an eye on them, make sure that they're not having tension. But like a lot of our replacements are things like that, replacing like the baskets that support the microphone, or making sure that we have ways to make our setup more functional. And you can see that we have like little customizations around the room that are really cute. Like Erika has a whole like lumbar support setup in her chair. I ended up getting some accessories to make my spot little, like got my cat ears on my microphone, my headphones, things like that.
So basically, we have for our generalized setup, we have a round table with 6 chairs around it, and then we have a smaller like wooden table platform in the middle that is weighted down and has 6 arm bars with our microphones attached to them with pop filters and everything like that. All of those feed into a 6-input soundboard. A lot of the easier, cheaper ones you can find are 4-input. 4 inputs are very common. We had to get a bigger one because there's 6 of us.
Yeah.
So we got a 6-input soundboard which ports out to the recording computer that Rebecca has that is on a side table next to her seat. Otherwise, we're all seating around. There are other things we can do in the future that would be great, like soundproofing the room, getting a carpet, like that kind of thing to like absorb sound so the background sound is easier to deal with.
Yeah.
I'll also say I have set up a recording space at my house just because I have started doing some side projects for War of Ages.
Spoilers.
I didn't say anything.
Spoilers.
You're spoilers.
You're spoilers.
Digital mics, we use Audacity software for most of our editing.
When it's me, it's GarageBand.
I was getting there.
Yeah. Sorry.
And thanks to all the lovely donations from people, we were actually able to get a new editing computer for Rob.
Extremely helpful, both for the portability and the fact that it's not crashing constantly, because the final 2 episodes of War of Ages were so massive and intensive, my computer could not handle it.
War of Ages or Brine and Blood?
Brine and Blood, Jesus Christ, I'm tired. The last 2 episodes of Brine and Blood were so editing intensive and big that they were literally crashing the computer and the RAM could not handle it. So it was very helpful to get a new computer to edit through. I use Audacity. It's free and does every job I need it to do.
Because of your support, we've been able to have new conversations about things like getting a new computer or like replacing things that we have brought personally into the space so that we can use them for this project.
Yep.
Which, like, it's not something that we expect, but it's so cool that, like, that's something that we can be supported through now, and we're really grateful. This literally contributes to us being able to do things like go to PAX or get a new editing computer or get new software that can help us build better projects for you.
Yep.
I'm noticing in the chat that everybody's already jumping on me saying War of Ages. Yes, everyone, War of Ages is over. We all die in the first episode.
I didn't. I killed everyone.
Everyone includes you.
I'm not you.
The whole...
Don't lump me in with you.
Jesus. Yeah, that is my brand.
There is some questions for Lex in regards to his hunters from the other campaign. How clearly did you follow the rules for Hunter the Reckoning when using the Imbued in Campaign 1?
I mean, their edges almost never actually came to dice rules, but... So I'd run many Hunter the Reckoning tabletop sheets, or many Hunter the Reckoning tabletop games. Those were largely sheets from actual games that I ran.
Were you tracking conviction and how it was being spent, or did you just take a more narrative approach?
I took a more narrative approach in terms of conviction, because usually in a given scene with the Imbued, they were only spending like never more than like 5 points of conviction. So I had kind of put in a rule for myself that if they kind of went past that, I would get into the narrative consequence of like running out of conviction and just kind of use that opportunity to show the audience like what happens if a hunter runs out of juice. And spoilers, it is bad.
It's real bad.
It is very
It's why
bad.
you don't ever bid your entire conviction pool. You bid your conviction pool -1.
Yeah, conviction.
Conviction.
Last one, a little bit longer. Did you closely follow the edge rules, or did you hand wave things a bit to better give vibe? There's more. For example, Jessica seemed to have visions that really led into the visionary aspect of her, but from my understanding, those kind of grand visions don't really happen unless you have one of the level 5 edges for visionaries.
So what I was actually doing... Oh, man, I don't know if I should say this.
But I'm going to just put a caveat
okay.
right here. If
All
it applies to War of Ages, don't say it.
If it
So,
applies to the campaign overall.
In the setting, things are drawing much closer towards a universal climax for the setting in general. The eldest is Macy. There's a lot of bad, and in Hunter the Reckoning, when someone's virtue points hit a certain point, they end up with an incredibly difficult choice that plays out during the course of their story. What I can say is that ultimately, Jessica's responsibility is not to champion humanity, but is chosen by other players that are involved, and her visions were actually the result of what is a heightened level of why can't I remember the background name?
The patron rating.
The patron background. Basically, so as a spoiler, the imbued are chosen by the ministers, who are discussed in a book called Days of Fire.
Yep.
And are specifically called up by Lucifer for being some of the only other angels that continue to exist. And what is actually happening is that she is taking steps towards what is her ultimate destiny. And unfortunately, that results in a type of level 5 edge that has very significant consequences for the character spiritually, but also comes with a massively ramped up level in terms of like their ability to communicate with the heralds.
The Hunter meta plot in general is, when I said earlier, like, hey, there's no good ends for hunters. Like, the Hunter meta plot is very cool and very tragic.
I missed this one, and it's kind of an interesting counterpoint.
Ooh.
For Rob, what would have happened if the players had taken one of the escape pods on a lower floor?
Oh, fun. I had mechanics for that. So, obviously, the one... I had set up a bunch of... I don't want to say traps, but, like, possibilities, right? And so, you guys actually found a lot of them, because you guys did great.
because John had foreseen.
John having 4C was huge.
Yeah.
But also, like, Nat and Todd going into the computers and looking for information, and Pheia looking for escape plans with her intuition and all that, like, that all played into it. The executive level escape pod, basically, there was better chances that they were going to work the higher you went in the pyramid, because Endron, like anyone else, is mostly concerned with the health of his executives and not with anything.
Capitalist
Klieg obviously
shitheads.
didn't. Yeah, capitalist shitheads. Klieg obviously didn't need a fucking escape pod, but because Project Deepwater is a joint program between the EFD and Endron, all secretly puppeted by Klieg, like, there were 3 different parties fucking around with this facility, so you had to make concessions to each of them. But in a world where they're such monsters and there's no fucking OSHA because it's Pentex and they do whatever the hell they want, they're at the bottom of the ocean and it's magic and fucking whatever.
No OSHA in the ocean.
Basically, what was going to happen if you got into the one on the bottom, like, if you guys are on the bottom floor and are like, let's get the fuck out of here, and got into one, I knew that you had 4C, Tim, and I knew that Nat had fool's luck until she had to use it. So there were ways out, but it was going to come down to functionally like a roll of the die on whether or not the one that you got into worked right. And if not, I was going to pull up the, like, decompression sickness rules out of Brine and Blood and the
Blood Dim Tides.
Brine and Blood is the show we ran. The decompression sickness rules out of Brine and Blood, or Blood Dim Tides. I did it again. The fucking nitrogen narcosis rule, like all of the bad shit.
Demure, mindful, cutesy.
And if you had rolled wrong and then like fucking you guys would have died. Like it would have been bad. If the roll, it was going to be up to chance. If you had gone up to the executive level, basically every level up you went, it was going to be an easier chance for it to be one of the ones that worked or something didn't go wrong. When I was running it, I was like, am I leaning too heavy on the fact that like the executive one's probably the good one to go, but you guys picked up on it. You did great. And we're like, we should probably use this one and get the fuck out of here.
Well, we had to cook the squid
You had to
jizz,
cook the squid.
So.
But even the fourth level had a chance to fail.
Yeah.
It was like fourth level is like a 1 in 10 chance to fail, but it was still going to had a possibility. It was only like the private executive suite where there was no chance to fail if you used that one. And then obviously Klieg was up there and was like, fuck you guys, I'm going to break it. And if you had gone while it was broken, like if Dallas had not gone out there, if you guys had been like, well, can it go without that piece he broke off, blah, 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 it was going to be basically the mechanical version of the first floor. And it was going to kind of be up to chance. I ran a bunch of printed shit out of Blood Dim Tides and the Rokia Breed book and like a bunch of weird shit because I love the weird shit in the world. But like if we're going to do World of Darkness, like I love the weird stuff.
That's why you love me.
How, and I know it was like a weird process, but like I want to know how do you feel about the conclusion of your character story as it exists now? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Before I go that, Sarah has posted
There we go.
some shilling for us, and I would like to read it.
Take the opportunity to
Are
show
we
Tim.
just reading out an ad that a fan made for us?
Yes.
On the
What
fly?
about-
Awesome, let's do it.
For anyone who's listening to this on a public podcast feed, supporting the podcast is totally worth it. Tons of content with outtakes for every episode, letters of the coterie, cast fiction stories, etc. And if you love this Q&A episode, you'll love the Ko-Fi exclusive quarterly hangouts. The cast streams a movie we all watch, and they hang out chatting with us and each other.
Speaking of things that we do quarterly or whatever, we had discussed. I mean, if this goes well, this whole like live Q&A thing is experimental. We've never done this before, but like if this goes pretty well, if people kind of enjoy this, we may do this like post like seasons and stuff as we do.
Depending on how long the season is, too. Cause
yeah, exactly.
If we have to cover more things, I think a lot of us would be like, hey, we should probably do this in the middle of the day.
Oh, for certain.
Speak for
We'll do
yourself.
some that way, but we might would do stuff this kind of stuff occasionally. Also, speaking of the letters of the coterie, I think we are going to be.
Yes.
We are considering letters to the missives to the coterie or whatever the fuck we're gonna
Missives from the couriers.
Missives to the coterie is fine. Yeah, we're definitely getting back to it. I'll probably make a post once we finish this and the things go the last
I assume once episode 0 of
I was figuring we'd start it early. People can put out whatever they want in these missives, you know.
That's fine.
And so if they want to learn about some character stuff through missives early,
Dear idiots.
right? Or if they want to send funny stuff to
I am
characters they
writing
don't know
you
yet.
from across the European continent.
Yeah, there's no limitation on the missives. You can send whatever ridiculous thing you want to us, and we will react to it. We never know how we're going to react to it. It could be entirely serious. It could be totally bonkers.
It's probably going to be bonkers.
Honestly, I feel like the letters of the coterie last time really did sort of get like they were non-canon, but they gave kind of a decent insight into like
When people had some serious
who
questions,
we were
yeah.
as characters. Anyway,
and then we had some ridiculous ones, and we responded accordingly.
even Ira got to get in on one.
Even A-Dog got to get in on one.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was the best letter. Good job, Lex.
Thank you.
So I feel like the question that you'd posed to us, Rob.
Yeah. I totally forgot we did that.
I know. So I feel like I wanted to make sure by the end of this Hunter season to get across that Nat is someone who is ready to see and find the humanity that anyone is willing to show her, whether that's a monster or a person, and someone who wants specifically to see people, and I'm using that word as a general term, as they are. When it comes to where we left off, I feel like the finale really successfully hammered that in. I'm really proud of her demonstrating that she was always approaching this with a full, honorable heart. I feel very pleased and content that that the finale demonstrated that she was straightforward, that she was earnest, and that she was honest, and that she was like ready to put her whole. This is an official recording. I shouldn't use that phrase.
You
That
were to
she
say
was-
pussy,
I
weren't you?
was. I super was, and I was
Dude,
trying
we're
to be
too
good.
late into it.
No, I'm very. I feel that Nat proved that she is who I think she is consistently throughout the story. I think that she made choices and spoke to people in the way that she believed in, and I think that's great. So like, if this was the end of Nat's story, I'm proud of how she has demonstrated herself in the narrative, and I was very passionate about like her next steps when it comes to the danger that her family was in. She has shown her heart, and that I am proud of the character as she was meant to be.
Great. Tim?
I don't remember what the question was.
How do you feel about, so assuming whether or not we ever do more Hunter, like how do you feel about sort of like John's journey over the series, like where we ended up, where he ended up?
I mean, we know what John's going to be doing. He's going to be doing demon research in the nearest future.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to figure out how to bind demons, bad or good that's going to be.
If we ever do a season 2, that motherfucker's definitely showing back up.
Yeah, that's where it's going to go. He's going to get involved with more shenanigans in and around the area, and occasionally show up and be like, no, and leave. So just be things that'll be like, we're dealing with all this. It's like, no, I don't want to.
Erika?
So, I like to think of a lot of characters that I play as a thinly veiled metaphor for a lot of different messages that exist in the world, and Pheia, for all intents and purposes, is a metaphor for overcoming chronic illness and looking at those who are struggling with the same thing, and looking at people who struggle with chronic illness and whether they are just letting it rule their lives, or whether they are overcoming it, or whether it varies day by day, and whether they are letting the monster rule them, or whether they are willing to try and brush their hair that day.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's the choice between, you succumb to like the Quinn mind, or you change into a near human form when someone says, "Hi, I'm Pheia."
Well, I apologize, but I just want to push you on this. Like, where you started off with this character, we had a serious conversation about whether or not you could play.
Yeah.
This is a very chronically ill table in some ways.
Yeah.
Like, I'll speak for myself on that matter. But, like, you had been
Yeah.
hit hard in the voice.
Yeah.
There
I had paralyzed vocal cords. There was no end in sight for that. I was still recovering from 3 bouts of pneumonia in 1 year, and I appreciated the amount of worry that the table had for me, but at a certain point it was starting to be, should I be more worried for me than I am?
Yeah. Well, we were more
Uh-huh.
worried for you than you were.
And
Nah, don't listen to him.
Tim
Okay, Tim
was,
wasn't, but the rest of us were.
Tim was just like, you'll overcome it or you won't.
Pretty much.
And there's no point in worrying about it until it gets to the point where you might not. But in my eyes, a redeemer is someone who is always looking at someone like, okay, maybe today's the day when you're going to do it. Maybe today's the day when you're going to get out of bed and you're going to take a shower today. And you know what, buddy? Bravo. We're going to take that one step closer to being a person again. It was kind of serendipitous that my voice started healing while playing Pheia. And there was a lot of course, I loved the ending where the message from Gary came back that basically said, I'm still here. It could also have been the, I reject your memory of me. It could also have been, I don't need you anymore. But for Pheia, it was plainly the, I remember you too.
Unsurprising that maybe at this point that I love an ambiguous ending when it comes to that kind of stuff. But
Yep.
particularly when it comes to running Mercy Creeds, particularly Redeemers and things like that, I really like leaving things open-ended
Yep.
in that way. And I didn't want to give an answer for Gary, but I wanted to pay homage to the entire story that you had told.
Yep.
And
I
I
appreciate
remember
that.
like a lot of our very early recordings were like, hey, Erika, can you speak today?
Yeah.
we are going to structure things in such a way where if you can't,
Yep.
we're going to make this work.
Yep.
You and I had a lot of discussions early on where it's like, hey, if you just need to stop
Yep.
and cannot do Brine and Blood,
We'll figure it out.
we'll figure it out. And you and I had a lot of
Yep.
talks about what would happen to Pheia and
Yep.
what we would do with that if you couldn't continue. And obviously,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you could.
Yeah.
Both
Well, quietly,
personally and professionally. Like, I'm glad you're
quietly,
okay,
there
but,
was
like,
no chance I was not going to play Pheia. There was. I don't care if I was going to croak. I don't care if Rebecca was going to have to
Bro.
turn my gain up to be untenable.
We're going
I
to
was-
drag your dumb ass to the hospital. And there's like,
Look, you were going to dump me in a wheel. There were a couple times that we've recorded that I'm not surprised you guys didn't just straight up call an ambulance for me. Not necessarily during Brine and Blood.
You are dead mistake.
Oh no, I'm sure.
There was a conversation that I think other tables should keep in mind of the value of autonomy versus the value of making sure your friend is safe.
We love
Yep.
you very much, and we value your ability to make your own decisions for yourself. And
Yep.
bitch, I will tie you to the back of a truck.
You can
Like,
just leave the
that's-
hospital at any point. It doesn't do you any good.
Yeah, sounds hot. If I can't walk though, I really can't do a whole lot.
Girl,
I mean-
I don't trust you not to wheel in here on your chair before the rest of us and be like, I've been here the whole time, guys.
No,
We're
I've been
recording
here the
today,
whole
right?
time.
Like,
We're-
what the fuck do you mean you're paralyzed, you psychopath?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, who told you that? Did my partner tell you that? He's a dead liar.
He's a liar.
Pheia was a metaphor for maybe today will be the day we can make it better. And while Hunter is ultimately going to be a tragic ending, I wanted Pheia to have at least a moment in there where things started to be okay for her. And so for the moment, her story is more redemptive than not.
I think that's you, Lex.
I'm pretty happy with how Todd's story concluded. It definitely felt like a full arc, but with room for more if we ever wanted to do that. I think going into it, I really wanted to kind of show a bit of the sliding scale of a hunter whose personal life was falling apart and was being completely ruined by their hunt, and the other side of that, the hunter getting in so deep. And I wanted to kind of show that there's definitely a bad side to it, but also that as they become that committed to the hunt, there ends up a lot of fight in that dog. And like, I feel like in the finale, Todd really kind of like was ferocious. You know what I mean? Like he was definitely like, you know, not in the healthiest place in terms of his personal life and mental health, but there was a clear trade-off that could be seen. And I just wanted to kind of sell that there was a good reason that John wanted to keep him around. You know?
How bad would the fights been if Garrett hadn't used balance?
Really, really bad. So I won't talk to like all the technocracy stuff and whatever. That would have been more complicated, but like they would have been much more complicated fights with the technocrats, but they wouldn't have been like
Right.
they wouldn't have changed the nature of the fight.
So it's really Saunders and Griggs.
Klieg and Griggs.
Klieg?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I
I can never get those two names.
So some of the stuff that Klieg was going to do. So Klieg had access to Pandemonium and was going to do stuff like. So some of these are because of balance, and some of these are because of second sight, right? So like, it's funny that we did It's funny that I didn't intend to do this when I was throwing hunters at Blood Dim Tides, but like a lot of the stuff is mental effect in the story that we were telling, and you guys were just straight immune to half that stuff. You just didn't see it. But he was going to like freak things out, like summon wolf spiders as deepest fears that like would sort of manifest as real. You guys, like, it was going to be bad if he had not been like kept in place. Now, the Griggs fight, quote unquote, was much more of a social fight. Had he not like, and had you guys not like connected to him, Griggs was a powerful rot. It was going to get really bad. Klieg was on another level. So there are multiple gifts that the Rokia get that I basically converted and gave to Klieg that he could use. So Klieg's whole deal is he's got a lot of deals going on, but like one of his big things, and the reason that he got upset and tried to shoot Dallas in the face at the end there is because he found out that you guys let the Rourke wall loose because Dallas said it. Klieg is obsessed with unlocking the secrets of the Rorqual. And Rorqual are like a whole thing. There's like, I could go on for a long time about Rorqual stories, but like, so I gave him certain gifts that he would have been able to use, but could not because of Dallas, that were based on the gifts of the Rokia, specifically dark water gifts and things like that. So there are some simple ones, like he could sort of temporarily control currents when he was out there. So any
Weird.
attempt to swim away from him, he's just like, no, you're getting over here. Or like, oops, you get pushed out into the crushing depths and you're dead. Fuck you. There was ones where he, in the water, in the shadows, could functionally go totally invisible. There was his big trick was a rank 5 dark water gift that he that is based on squid ink. That basically he creates an area of total darkness that even the ability to see through total darkness, with the exception of one Rokia gift, you cannot see through it. Even things that are like, I can see in the dark. No, the fuck you can't. You are totally blind in here. Also, while I am in here, I can read anyone's thoughts who is also in here, so I know what you're going to do at any time, and also I can teleport at will inside of this sphere of darkness.
Yeesh.
Klieg was a huge fucking problem. Klieg has been around. He's the first of the Enfolded. He is on his way to basically, like, he's too useful to be allowed to become one of the old ones, but, like, he's on his fucking way, right?
Yeah.
So it was going to get real fucking bad.
To summarize, badly.
It was going to go badly, yeah.
So I know at some point, I don't remember if it was in outtakes or if it was actually mentioned in an episode, but
Yeah.
nobody knows why Klieg started calling himself Klieg.
Yes, so that's a fun story thing that I don't fucking know.
I actually just looked it up because I thought names are a special interest of mine.
Yeah.
Hashtag autism. But I looked it up and actually, long story short, Klieg is a kind of conjunctivitis you get from staring at the light for too long.
It also can refer to a
Interesting.
particular kind of like mechanical light.
Yep.
Interesting. Cool. That is very
Yeah.
cool to know.
It probably...
Inside the story, it's funny because they're
Yeah.
like, the son of the founder of Premium Oil was lost at sea, and then many years later, this guy shows up, calling himself Mr. Klieg, and he has these secrets of the deep, and he looks exactly like the son of Jeremiah Lassiter. And they're like, cool, why is he named Mr. Klieg? And they're like, shut up, don't ask about it. That's just who he is.
Shut
It's
your whore-
implied that he's
Yeah.
this guy who was like connected to Pentex and was lost at sea,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Shut your whore mouth.
well, I mean, the World of Darkness is full of stuff like that,
Yeah.
where it's like connect these two dots.
Yeah. Etymology and names is...
So cool.
There
Just-
is no book that actually, by the way,
Yeah.
officially says what Rorqual are, but if you read like 4 different books, you can piece it together.
Yeah.
It's great.
I just realized Erika's wearing her wind shirt.
Yes. Yes, I am wearing my wind
Did you
shirt.
cut it? That's
Yes,
dope, dude.
I did.
That's awesome.
I don't like shirt collars on t-shirts, so I often will cut them, and I don't like sleeves, so I cut the top, so that way it's more like a tank top.
Anyway,
Or
yeah.
shirts.
So the final question to that is like a
Yeah.
lot of the abilities that were going on were like mental control abilities, or I spend like my secret stuff to do evil, and you guys as a group shut that shit the fuck down, which was very cool.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for us.
We've been going for a while,
Yeah.
so
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. We really appreciate especially the patience with setup and you guys attending and sending in these questions.
Yep.
Spending this time with us as we're doing this Q&A. That's been lovely. I've really been enjoying interacting with your chat, and I think all of us have like these are such thoughtful questions, and it's a joy to be able to like
We are so fortunate to have found a crowd that finds our bullshit amusing and charming.
yeah.
thank you for all of this,
Yep.
and thank you guys for letting me run. Like, thank you guys as the table for letting me run Hunter.
Thank you for running
and
stuff
for letting
us,
me
man.
run Brine and Blood bullshit. I love that stupid book, and now we've run it.
Did I
Dim
say the
Tides.
word plastination to you about the
Blood Dim
squid?
Tides. God damn it!
He means blood dim
I
tides.
did mean
He-
Blood Dim
he did.
Tides. Yes.
He's just gonna rename the book, guys. Just that's what it is now.
It's fine.
Stick around now for the after show where I talk about Rorqual lore for an hour and a half.
You can do
I'm not
your
actually
own
doing
podcast.
that. I'm exhausted.
Thank you so much. We've loved spending this time with you, and we look forward to you joining us for our next project.
Project.
Jesus Christ.
Well,
We're making mattresses
Well,
now,
I mean,
guys.
we got
we
some
are
t-shirts.
working on some stuff.
We are working on stuff, yes. No,
but I
and
did mean our projects, and we are getting a move on recording, and we hope that you're excited.
Yeah.
We hope that you're hype.
shout out to everybody who supports us on Ko-Fi, everybody who joined us live tonight. You know what? Shout out to the fan server and like the live. So they did live listens for I think
Yeah.
all of Brine and Blood, and
Yep.
I've tuned into many, if not
awesome.
most of them.
Yep.
It fucking rules, and it's very validating as a storyteller.
Yes, I think
Um,
that's all stories who's running them, and really appreciate that.
Yep. And guys, 32 fan fictions is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, so anyways, we got a rad community, and if you're listening to this, you're part of that rad community, and thank you all.
Yep.
Thank you guys.
Good night. Good fight.
Yep.
Good night.
Good
Good night, y'all.
fight,
Good
fight.
night. Love you guys so much.
Love you. Path of Night, Brine and Blood is an actual play Hunter the Reckoning podcast set in the world of darkness. Your cast has been Tim Davis, Garrett Gabbey, Lex Lopez, Erika Webb, and Rebecca Steigelfest. Your storyteller has been Rob Muirhead. This Q&A was recorded and edited by Rebecca Steigelfest. The theme music in this Q&A was Sadness Room by Dennis Bontroff. You can find their music online at pixabay.com. Character art is by Jay Steele. Find more of their work at Steele Art on Bluesky. Brine and Blood uses the revised edition of Hunter the Reckoning with a few limited house rules. Hunter the Reckoning and The World of Darkness is owned by Paradox Interactive. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you find your podcasts. You can find us at YouTube at youtube.com/@pathofnight. You can help support the show at ko-fi.com/pathofnight. And you can find us on Bluesky or Twitter at pathofnightpod, on Facebook at Path of Night Podcast, or email us at pathofnightpodcasts@gmail.com.